Remember those? It's just having those like Final Fantasy sets and all those JRPG sets. Like you had one that had like a medallion with it or something like that.
Luna,
yeah.
Luna 2. My fucking game came with jewelry, son. This was like a necklace. It was like bigger than $. It wasn't $. Actually, I wish it was, because I would have just totally beat Puff Daddy to the mark if I was wearing $sign necklaces in 6th grade.
Yeah, well, that's about the time Mace was hitting it.
Mace! No one said Mace in 15 years. Nobody in the world.
Nobody in the world.
Hey everyone, this is Another Way Around. You're listening to the AwayCast, episode number 20. We made it to 20. Greg, how you doing, bud?
Every week you say that we made it, like you don't believe that this podcast is
Greg, how you doing, bud?
Doing great.
20, we made it, right?
Every week you say we made it, like
but
you don't think,
listen,
like you don't believe in this.
There's a very special episode of the podcast. It's episode 20. Josh, what's up, dude? Coming live from Chicago. Josh Hinkey.
What up, yo?
What's up, dude? Number 20. We made it.
20? No way.
I don't see the big deal.
Well, you know who does see the big deal?
You.
We have a special person with us today, straight from down the road.
That's right.
Dan Devine is here.
Hi, guys.
Dan is here.
I'm really glad you made it, man.
Hi, Dan.
Dan is a longtime friend. He's going to be like our dedicated video dude from now on, and he's going to jump in on the podcast once in a while. He's a really knowledgeable dude. Give him all the love you can. The biggest AwayCast cheer and hug that you can possible.
It's a beautiful blanket. What a bouquet of poetry for me. I appreciate that.
Can't hear you, Dan.
Yeah, well, I appreciate
Repeat
what you
just said.
I said thank you for the beautiful bouquet of poetry and introductions, and I'm glad you made it. You
finally
made it, man.
Number 20, 2-0.
You really did it.
We did it.
Finally out of the teens.
So, Josh, man, you sound much better than you did last weekend. That voice healed up.
I feel much better than I did last weekend.
If I could see you, I bet you'd look a lot better, too.
I want you to know that I gave my voice, like all I had to this podcast, went in the next day to work and like walked right up to my supervisor and was like, I'm not talking today. I'm sorry. It's done.
But
your job is to talk.
I know. And I told him, no, I'm done. I'm not doing it.
And how do you take that?
Oh, and that was fine. They're very understanding there. I had other things to do.
Like what? Your job is customer service on the phone. What else could you do?
Respond to emails. I can sit there and do email-y stuff. So.
Email-y type stuff. What'd you do this weekend?
Sorry?
What'd you do this weekend?
I played a shit ton of Saints Row. That is literally like the only thing I did this weekend. I'm excited to watch my Vikings game. I am very excited to see.
Yeah, football's back.
Yeah, third game of the preseason, so the starters are going to play. You guys don't care about this. We can move on.
No, not really.
I like seeing people hurt each other, but I don't really care about the points.
Yeah, well, I don't. It's not really a big. That's all you did, Saints Row, but that's not a bad thing because we'll get to that.
Look, and I just want to get you guys prepped. Like we are heading into the NFL season, and I am a giant Vikings fan. It's like in my soul. It's something that like I'm not even particularly proud of. It's just something that is part of me, and so you guys are going to have to like deal with the highs and lows of this NFL season of like the Vikings eventually breaking my heart, stomping on it, and me getting super depressed by like mid-November. So just be ready for that. I'm just letting you know.
So we're just going to be ready to take a few minute breaks so we can go to the bathroom and go do things while you rant on the podcast
and you know
about
what?
football.
I respect
That's totally fine. That's what everyone else does. I'll start talking football and they just tune out. Just kind of let me wander through my general depression of being a Vikings fan.
I don't think we should allow this. I'm against this. I don't think.
Guys, Greg is against something.
This is going to be an intervention.
I don't think you should be. I don't think we should be talking about football
ever.
The only games we should be talking about here are video games, and then big game hunting and game fishing, stuff like that. I don't.
But when you ask me about
sports.
my weekend, that is going to quantify my weekend.
Okay, that's fine.
For 17 weeks, that is. You're going to say, "How was your weekend?" And my response will be either the Vikings won, I'm in a good mood, or they lost, and I'm upset. So.
Oh no! So that means there's going to be some Sunday football games.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna have to. That's what we're doing now.
He's gonna have to TiVo every football game.
Josh is Tommy Lee Jones. Dan is Will Smith.
Oh,
training a replacement.
Yeah, I like it.
Just kidding, Josh. Greg, how was your weekend, pal?
It was fine. I was sick. I went to.
That's a nice boss. That's a nice call your boss fake cough there.
No, I was actually sick. I went to the doctor and they gave me an inhaler. Apparently, I have asthma.
No, yay!
Yeah, apparently.
Surprise!
Greg,
Congratulations, man.
I know, but I've had this cough for 7 years, and the doctor's always just like, I don't know what it is. So
With his inhaler, they gave him a pair of glasses with tape on the middle and a pocket protector.
Wait. You've had a cough for 7 years?
Yeah, well, it comes like
It's seasonal.
It's like it comes for like 2 or 3 months out of the year, but it doesn't go away. And whenever I go to the doctor, they give me medicine for it, and they don't know what it is. And I went this time, and it's like they had a big crazy word for it, but it sounds like asthma. They gave me an inhaler. I took a puff, and I'm feeling great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
All right. I'd like to hear that. We don't have to hear you cough on the podcast that much anymore.
Not as much. It's slowing down. It's starting to recede. So
Yeah, that shit's annoying. But
Yeah.
you
I don't
also-
know who you are anymore, Greg.
Yeah,
I don't like not cough, Greg.
I know.
Makes me very uncomfortable.
I can get off the inhaler if you want.
That would be really good for me.
Only when we do the podcast, we want to make sure that cough is consistent throughout all episodes.
Yeah. The people have gotten
Oh,
used
there we
to
go.
it.
You got it, guys.
We actually, Greg, I came over your house this weekend and we played some board games.
Oh yeah, well, we played the most amazing game of Jenga. That it sounds like a joke, but it was actually. I wish we would have taken a picture. Dan, you're laughing, but you don't understand. We somehow managed to remove all of the bottom pieces except for the one, and it was sitting on like 3 single pieces and just balanced. It was amazing.
It was
Absolutely
serious.
amazing.
And the table was wobbly. It was a very don't breathe type of moment.
It was intense. It was a good time.
Sounds like they need to patch those physics.
Yeah. Whoa. Put some no clip on that Jenga. We also played spoons. That was interesting.
Is
I never
that where
played
like you
spoons
slap them
before.
on your leg and scrape them on a
Yes.
washboard and
Well,
just
that's-
blow
well,
into a jug with 3 X's on it?
That's exactly what Greg and I did. They were like, "You want to play spoons?" And Greg and I both looked at each other. And
jug.
We pulled out the spoon. We're like, brah, brah, right here.
we both looked at each other like, "Did you watch the Elephant Show when you were a kid?" And we were
Oh,
both
yeah.
like, "That's where we learned to play spoons."
I learned to play spoons.
I didn't really learn how to play spoons. I just learned that's how someone who knows how to play spoons.
I got the spoons right out and started playing along
Yeah?
with the show. Yeah.
Greg was playing.
I mean, I was a spoon savant at about 4 or 5 years old.
So spoons is a game with
Yeah.
it's
Just tremendous.
it's a card
Prodigy.
game where you have to get a certain amount of a kind, and then everyone reaches in the middle and
Everyone,
grabs.
you pass cards around the table, and whenever the first person has 4 of a kind, you drop your cards down, and there's 5 spoons on the table. 6 people are playing. Everyone grabs a spoon. Whoever doesn't get a spoon gets the letter S. But when they finally get the full word spoon, you're out of the game. Okay.
Okay.
It's like horse with cards and spoons.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So that was really fun for a while. It got competitive.
Yeah.
I like to know that you guys play games that aren't digital from time to time. That's very wholesome
Dude,
of you
I
two.
play a lot of
We
board.
play a lot of board
Yeah, I would
games.
think that we should just have a Thumper podcast just
Yeah.
all day.
What's
the name of the game?
Thumper.
We also played Taboo, which was
Oh,
a
yeah.
stressful it's made my girlfriend a stressful
I gotta
mess.
say, me and my ex-girlfriend, who don't always get along, we won. We won. we beat all of the functioning
They
couples.
cheated at the end.
No, we did not. We beat the
Just
functioning
like
couples.
they cheated on
So,
each other.
also-
No, we didn't cheat on each other.
There was this
At least
moment.
I didn't. Maybe. No, I doubt she did.
There's this moment where Greg's ex-girlfriend goes, "Greg, I have to tell you something," and everyone was like, "Oh shit, what's about to happen?" She goes, "Remember 2 years ago when we were playing Monopoly? They were giving me money and I was cheating in Monopoly."
Yeah, I thought it was something more.
Wait, is that what ended your relationship?
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
why?
it was
that was it.
That was it. Beginning of the end right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna go around. You're gonna screw other guys. You're gonna.
She was cheating
do
on him with
weird
the-
things.
That's all right.
But if you're gonna steal from the bank in Monopoly later,
You were the banker.
So let me
I don't know
ask
who
you
are
about
anymore.
when you're playing Monopoly and like you know that you're gonna lose. In the spirit of capitalism, is it all right to like sell your entire company to someone that you want to win?
that's what
that-
I do. When I'm losing a Monopoly or any game where I possibly can do this, I will try to find someone who I want to win and try to hurt everybody else.
Exactly. So that's what I did. Like one time I was playing Monopoly and I did that, and the girl who was winning at the time threw a fit. Like she just
That's life.
freaked out, and she's like,
Sounded like
"How
she needed
dare
that
you?
lesson
How
badly."
dare you?"
That's real life.
Some people take Monopoly very seriously.
Yeah, once you invest a certain amount of hours into Monopoly, it becomes like kind of cutthroat, I bet.
Once you get past the 3-hour mark, it's like, wow, this is a big part of my day now. It's important that this game is played properly. It's like Risk. Like if you get
boy.
if you get like 5 hours into Risk and you find out someone's been cheating, that's some serious shit.
Yeah, that's you're gonna
Or someone who
rearrange
goes
your
hand of
friendship
God and
after
just
that.
busts up the board, that can
Yeah.
ruin friendships.
Oh yeah.
And then we played the cup game.
I didn't play the cup game.
Yeah,
I
you
tried.
did.
I tried.
You learned at the
I
end.
kind of learned. My sister, for some reason, was amazing at it, and she was still doing it the next morning. I went downstairs. She's still doing this stupid cup thing.
So there's that cup game. There's that song out now, that When I'm Gone.
Oh,
When I'm
yeah,
Gone.
yeah. That was
So
a
like,
YouTube video.
that spawned from, what was the show that they were talking about it?
I don't know.
Zoom. They said it's from Zoom or some show
Some
when we were
educational
kids.
show on PBS.
And
Zune? Like the...
Zoom.
Like Speed.
Yeah. So there's that cup game, and at the end of the night, everyone was doing it. Kay was happy. That was cool.
Yeah, great.
Good board game night. Game night.
That's cool. I went out on a date with a girl.
All right, let's hear all about this date.
What?
What? Tell us about it.
What happened?
Well, we played cups and spoons and
nice.
Jenga.
Dan was there. I forgot.
No, I mean, I don't know. It was just a dinner and as quickly as I can get her to a place where private. That's about it.
Nice.
Well, that's good. So you took her behind a building?
No, I just watched
How much did she charge?
Yeah. We went to watch Netflix on my phone behind the Port Authority. It was super romantic.
He was, dude.
That was your lead-in line? Like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? I got Netflix on my phone.
I got Netflix on my phone. We can watch it behind the Port Authority.
I like that. That's great. Good move.
Sounds like
I'm all class all the way.
sounds like a slick weekend.
It was not too shabby. And today I played video games, so I made up for all of that nerdy girl stuff and played some manly games.
Yeah, I didn't. Friday was the last time I played any games. I went home for the weekend too. Today was nice. Parents made some good meals, good food meals, and they gave me, whenever I go out east, they always give me a whole bunch of stuff. I came home with 2 lamps, a case of water, a computer. My dad gave me a laptop computer.
What a burden, dude. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry
it
for
sucks.
you.
John went home and they gave him his freaking brand new laptop, and John's like, "Oh, I gotta carry this back to my place," and it just sucks to be you, man.
When did I ever say that?
Well,
It
we
sounds like you're
both
complaining.
imagined it, so I think that's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
might
guys-
as well have said it.
Okay. I did say it.
But that is fun. Every time I go home, the same thing happens to me. I always get 2 lamps. I don't know where they keep coming from.
Yeah.
It's a box of silverware and a lamp every time I go home.
I have a pile of lamps in my house. My parents won't stop giving to me.
I'm really nervous about how much time that John spends with his family. It seems like you have a loving family. I'm really worried my mom's going to hear this podcast and she's going to like just fucking rail at me. She's going to be like, John sees his mom all the time.
Uh-oh.
How come you never see me? So let's just keep it on the DL. How much time you spend with your family?
John is a family man.
I am a family guy.
John is
Yeah.
super family man.
Yeah.
That's what super family man is John.
Right.
He is always with his
You ever
parents.
see that show on Fox, Super Family Man?
Super family, dude.
With Peter Griffin and Stewart.
You're just like that.
Yeah, they got the dog.
You drink a lot
Rolo.
of Epicac.
Yeah. Josh, you played a little XCOM, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Josh, you did a review for us on XCOM, didn't you?
Yeah, I said this to you like when we were talking, we were chatting via Facebook, and I said that I'm a little sad that the first video review that we do for the Another Way Around is going to be XCOM Declassified.
You got to start somewhere.
Whenever we like look at our archives, whenever we point to like where it began, this game is going to have to mark the beginning of that, and I just it tears at me a little bit.
Should we not talk about it though to save something for the video that he did?
We should still talk about it.
Yeah.
And we can talk
a
about it
big
briefly. You know, I can just kind of recap my
Let's hear
general
about it.
feelings on it.
Because listen, I was excited by this game. XCOM last year was one of my favorite games of the year. It obviously got huge, it was renowned for being a great strategy game, especially a revival of an old school turn-based strategy type deal. And everyone thought that maybe XCOM wasn't the coolest thing to put in front of Declassified the Bureau.
Yeah, and so and like if you listen to last week's podcast, there's a very great and telling moment where I'm talking about how I'm excited for XCOM, and you're like, "Oh, did you read the latest review from Destructoid?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. What was it? Was it good?" And you're like, "You sound too excited for me to tell you." Yeah. And I'm glad you didn't tell me. A, because I just went in with a clean slate on this game, but B, I just all of the tension surrounding this game, and for people who don't know, this game has a very long, storied, not great history. Basically, where it started off as a first-person shooter, and it's been in development for like 6 years, and just it started as first person. Suddenly, they added 2 squad mates, and they said, "Oh well, now we're gonna go third person." Originally, it was like a research game where you're just trying to take pictures of the aliens, and they're like, "Nah, let's just make it more shooty," and the end result is that you get something that's like Mass Effect and Enemy Unknown have a baby. That baby isn't very good at anything. And that's what Enemy Unknown, it has a lot of things that are comparable to those two games. It has the command wheel, and it's calculating percentages, and it has like the shields for cover. You're recruiting agents. You're looking at research. But the problem is that none of that is deep enough to give you the true immersion that you had with Enemy Unknown, right? Like that was the best thing about it, is that you were kind of telling your own story of an alien invasion. Like the stuff, you got to make the decisions on what was researched. You got to, talk to the key people involved about what your next step was. And then you go into the field and you'd have your guys with you, and they were your squad. You had custom made them, named them after your friends. It was super exciting. And Enemy Unknown, Declassified kind of looked at that and said, oh, people really like that. So I guess people are going to like our game. But the problem is that their AI is really stupid. So even if you name them after your friends, you're going to end up hating your friends. I saw Tyler earlier this week and I was like, do you have any idea how fucking stupid you are at Declassified? You just run out of cover, just get in front of a muton and let them blast you away. Then I got to try and save you. So it totally wrecks that immersion because none of those things are good. It tries to do all those things, just not well.
Well, I have to say, playing XCOM, the most fun I had was being inventive with the fictitious stories I would make up for my characters. Like we had...
Exactly, right?
I had one dude who was a heavy, who was, we named him Duke, and we had him for like 6 missions, and then he died. And then I made another Duke, and he died immediately after the same mission. So we had this thing where every time Duke died, he would just continually die. He was like Mr. Bill. He was like, fucking Duke again. I gave him like all my heavy armor, put all my points in him, and Duke just fucking every time for some reason just always got beat up. But I mean, that was the fun part of it. I know they do carry over some of those permanence type tropes where you're going to lose a character, you're going to lose them forever, but it seems a lot more shallow.
It really is. Like, the depth of customization, the perks that you can get and stuff like that just don't feel as important as they did before. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it all goes back to the fact that the AI isn't very good. Like, yes, you can give them cool skills, but it's not like... But it doesn't particularly feel like you are enjoying upgrading them. You enjoy watching their growth because you don't really like those guys because they keep dying and you have to save them. Do you remember, like, when you played Fuse, do you remember, like, when your teammates would die and it'd get super frustrating? Like, you'd have to run and try to save those guys all the time.
Right. And
that was, like, the big downside of Fuse. I mean, XCOM makes Fuse look amazing with how bad its AI is.
So if this game, say it were available for $20 on the marketplace, would it be worth it?
If you are really, like, if this is something that you've been super excited about, I think that is where my price point would be. Like, if you need to play this game, then please, please, please wait for that serious price drop. Oh, okay. It's like $20. That's the only way that I could really, like, strongly recommend it. Or be like, I can see you having it. Like, I'm sure other people will play it and have more fun than I did with it. If, like, it's some people just love certain settings, or maybe they'll find it's a lot easier for the mechanics to grasp for them. But I just found it super frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sad that it went through that path with development. I guess it's hard for a game to get pinballed around like that because eventually it ends up losing some integrity along the way, being pushed and pulled back and forth.
And you can almost see the patchwork quilt that it's become. And I will say that I actually kind of wish that there would be a sequel at some point, because a lot of the stuff they're doing is cool in concept. There are a lot of cool ideas ostensibly. They're just not executed well.
You know what I would have liked maybe? Maybe they just took the setting of the Bureau and had it play like XCOM.
Oh, and that setting's so cool too.
Right, like why wouldn't they just... well, obviously I know why they wouldn't. They tried something different, which is fine by me by artistic standards, but I mean... I think, especially playing Omerta, City of Gangsters, playing in the 20s, and I know this would be, the 60s going into 70s, right?
Yeah.
I feel like playing that setting in a noir-type feel to it, just keep all the mechanics of XCOM, I'm about to say Declassified, XCOM Enemy Unknown, and reskin that shit, and I'd be happy to... I'd probably pay the $50 for it, Yeah,
I mean, there are good things, and... I think that's
Josh,
the hardest part.
Are you standing like outside, like on a dock somewhere?
No, I just had a breeze come in through the window, so I shut it a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, shut that window, all right?
I think if I shut it, I start sweating, and then you can just hear the sweat in my voice.
That would be worse.
I prefer Breeze over Sweaty Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will actually. I don't think you can hear sweat in a voice.
Oh, so we're gonna make Josh suffer.
It's just gonna sound like John Candy in 5 minutes.
Obviously, I'm the audio guy. I'm more concerned with the quality of the audio rather than Josh's well-being.
Oh yeah, no, I understand.
Well,
I'm gonna change my voice as I sweat, just so you can hear the sweat.
Back on
XCOM Declassified is not great.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to
re-railing.
Here's somebody who has nothing to. I don't know the game at all. I've just watched trailers, a little bit of gameplay, but I know XCOM Enemy Unknown. I played it.
The original.
I played it quite a bit because I think it was free on Steam one weekend, or I just got it for next to nothing at one point, and it was really cool, really fun game. And then I saw the trailer for this, and it's like the dude walked out of LA Noire, and he's got his 20s hat, and I just could not wrap my head around what the hell this game. It seemed like a very poorly marketed, like loosely decided upon.
The idea was
the process leading up to that whole thing. Just like it was this, and now it's this, and that's how it felt to me. Like these guys could not figure out what this game was supposed to be. I think.
Well, and this started development before Enemy Unknown, so clearly they couldn't have done what I'm about to say here. But from how they're pitching it, this is supposed to tell the origin story of the XCOM project. The problem is that it doesn't feel like an origin story of this base. It feels like you're super powered from the get-go. You have
That's
all
what it was supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first encounter of the aliens. It's like, and it's all that like Roswell cover-up. We know the threat's coming, but so we started investing in this project, and then Enemy Unknown happened. But it doesn't, for as much as that pitch exists, it doesn't feel that way, which would have been cool. That would have been awesome. Like you're kind of seeing all of these things come together as they try to these agents investigate the alien threat, kind of outmanned and under-equipped.
Well, within the first 2 hours of the game, it goes from being this government agency to we are now dubbed XCOM. So it's the birth of XCOM. So Greg, you actually played Payday 2 finally this weekend, right? Or this week?
Well, during the week I did. Yeah, I played during the week.
Because places actually got copies in.
Yeah, finally. It took me 2 weeks of going back and forth to the same GameStop before they actually ended up calling. Didn't we talk about this last week, how I got a copy? I think we did. How they ended up calling.
Oh, yeah. You got a copy and we didn't play it. You didn't play it yet before we talked about it.
But no, I did get a chance to play it last week. I really enjoyed the game. It's probably my favorite game I'm playing right now. The only problem I see with the game, and I think we may have touched on this last week, was how horrible the single player is because the AI is a complete waste.
The single player
there's a theme this week.
What's that?
Terrible AI.
Terrible AI.
I mean, the problem is they probably just they should have released this game as an arcade title and just took the single player out. Because to be honest, the single player is pretty pointless without competent AI because you can't complete any of the larger missions with the AI. There's no possible way to do it. There's no way you're going to get in and out of some of those buildings 3 or 4 times to get all the bags that you need. And the AI will not carry any
It's
loot.
bad to the point where they will stand in a corner.
Oh yeah, or just stand out on the street with their foot up against the wall, like they're still scouting the area while SWAT's coming in.
So when I play Payday with Greg and we have 2 other guys going with it,
amazing
with us, since I had the game for a few days more, I kind of knew the mission, so it was cool that I can be like, all right, you guys go around this way, unlock this door. While we're setting up for the heist, like you take out this camera, I'll watch the front, any civilians come out. And that's like half the fun of the game is trying to set up to
for me, that's all the fun. For me, that's the funnest part is finding a way in, because what's so great about these maps is that there's multiple ways of doing everything.
Right.
You can run in and just grab the money and leave, or you can take your time and do it sneaky, and based on your friend's loadouts, you can kind of do different things every time.
However, when you're playing with the AI, you obviously can't communicate with them, not even any kind of radio commands or anything. So any planning is straight out the window. Like you're just going in and trying to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You have the option to turn the AI off.
I did that today during one of those mall
missions. But it's also
missions.
just as pointless because the AI has one good use, and that's reviving you when you go down.
Yeah.
And everything else, it's shameful how bad the AI is. I hope that they patch it eventually.
It honestly just makes the single player pointless. Like I'm saying, you can't get very far in single player. You just can't do it.
Well, some of the better missions are super entertaining, like the framing frames mission, getting the art gallery.
That's my favorite. Is the art gallery.
The one where you have to cook meth. that fucking, it's so good. Have we done that yet?
No,
Greg?
we didn't do the meth.
We got to do that next. That's really good.
But yeah, no, the game shines in the multiplayer realm.
Yeah.
It fails completely in a single player, but multiplayer is probably one of the most fun that I've had this year with a multiplayer game, just because of like the strategy that goes into it and the teamwork with your friends.
It'll
makes it
also
great.
fail if you have a team without microphones or they don't communicate properly.
You're playing with bad AI again at that point.
At that point, right.
It's great with your friends.
So I've heard some people online after a week or two playing with it that they feel as though that this game is sort of, since it's almost infinite in a way, it's almost like there's no winning. It's just constantly ramping up to unlocks and more skins and mask unlocks and bragging rights and stuff like that. People are saying that maybe it's just a very, well, it's not super polished, but a decent looking facade on what's pretty much a glorified unlock game. I mean, I don't feel that sentiment yet. I don't know if the people saying this online have been playing this, 70 something hours straight.
It might get to that point. I mean, this is a pretty low end development game. Like it's smaller indie game, right? I mean, that's probably where the AI lacking comes in from. That's one of the harder things to develop is incompetent AI.
Right. It's not super independent. I mean, Overkill, they had a game before where they had a really good community, but it was lesser known. And now with an Xbox release, a lot more people are playing. But I don't know. I guess just I'm not at that point yet, so I'm fine with it.
For me, I could care less about the unlocks and all that stuff. It doesn't mean anything to me. I just like playing the game with my friends and like the actual just mission. Like I don't really care about the game as a whole on its own.
And it is supposed to have an arcadey feel, right? I mean, it's not. I feel like adding in some sort of attempt at story or some sort of like continuity between missions would take a little bit away from what it is. It's just supposed to be you and your friends setting up an awesome heist. And once again, the narrative is almost emergent. You create your own story as to why you're doing these things if you want.
I look at them as almost one-offs. When we play, I don't look at Payday as like a full game where I'm like, I need to make sure I get all this stuff right. I complete this. I look at it as, I got nothing to do tonight. I would love to go rob a bank with my friends who are online, and this is going to be fun, and we're going to like take it seriously, and it's going to be like a really entertaining for me. It's going to be like a simulation, something for me to do right now.
And what's good is they present it that way. It's just if you're not looking for that, stay away from this game.
It struck me as something that was setting a precedent of like this type of game in the hands of the right developers of a major publisher could like really make weave a story that's really engaging and it's exciting, but with the mechanics that they've established at this point.
Yeah, this is a great start off point for somebody. It's a great example of what could be. And what's good about it is if it was a $60 title, you'd hear a lot more negative feedback, I think, because of the bad AI. But for $40, the multiplayer is worth $40.
I bet you it's better than XCOM.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably is.
I'm just saying. I would love to see, though, in the future, something like this taken to a heightened level with a full development team where the single player is better, where the multiplayer is even better than it is with next gen graphics.
Right.
I think this is a perfect starting point, though. I think Payday 2 is definitely something worth picking up.
I've seen the contrast between obviously PC and console titles, and it's no. I mean, I'll say it, but everybody knows that right now at the end of a console generational cycle, that PC is the place to get all your games right now. But
it just looks better no matter what.
Yeah. It's. I mean, speaking of that, Saints Row, might as well get into that.
That's actually. I was just going to say Saints Row is a perfect way to go with that, because I was talking to Dan. We were playing today with Dan, and Dan was just calling out all the shit graphics.
Right. Well, yeah, I have a lot of things to say about it. I'll let you guide this.
Right. Well, we'll get into that, but I've been playing co-op with Gregg. We've been having a really good time, and dude, right off the bat, Saints Row has me. I mean, Josh, you played it too, but right in the first 15 minutes of the game, I already almost had to pause the game and just laugh, because there are certain points that are unexpectedly comical where I give them a lot more credit than just like, haha, dildo joke, shit, fart, haha.
Did you play the third? Did you play Saints Row the third? Okay, so you've done the whole thing. This felt like the smartest Saints Row to me in terms of like the writing and the humor and stuff like that.
Definitely.
The parodies they did.
I definitely agree. I mean, 3 felt crude.
Exactly.
It was the first time that we've actually made a really leaping departure from Saints Row 2 and 1 in terms of like going from the gangster stuff to like, nah, you're got a horse mask on and you're running around swinging a giant fake wiener and hitting people with it.
We played what?
We played quite a bit.
We played almost 50% of the game.
I think we're about. Well, if you count,
it's 42%. I looked at it today.
42.
We're 42% through the game. And I was actually talking to Dan about it because Dan didn't get a chance to play it, but he played it today when he came over. We went through the first part of the game, and then I jumped him ahead and let him play a few minutes on so he can see the superpowers and stuff like that. And one thing I was telling him before we got started was how I felt about the game on my second day of playing it. And I think it's a little bit different than how you feel about it, John. But here's what I like about the game, and here's what I don't like about the game. Okay. What I like about the game is I like the comedy in the game. I think it's great. I think it's funny. I think a lot of the jokes, especially if you're in your mid to late 20s, you're going to get a lot of the jokes, and it's going to be really funny for you.
Right.
I like the abilities, the character abilities, and how the world reacts to you sometimes. What I don't like about the game, though, and I was really realizing this during my second night playing with John, was the missions, the story missions. They're not really like engaging, they're also not really like, they don't really make sense. There's no I don't know where I am still.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. Like I feel like I never know what's happening. Like it just feels like I was saying this to Dan earlier. It feels like the way they developed this game, they had like 6 groups of guys, and they're like, we're gonna make Saints Row. Everyone go into a room and don't talk to each other, and we're all gonna make a part of the game, and then we're literally gonna take it and just put it all together, and that's gonna be Saints Row.
Right. I can see how that works.
It just seems like a lack of continuity throughout the game, and I understand you shouldn't take the game too seriously because that's what it's about. But at some point, like a huge game like this that gets so much attention, and I feel like I'd much rather be playing a game like Payday. You know, I think it's a better game than Saints Row. I feel like this is almost borderline gimmicky. I find myself spending more time flying around and looking for the collectibles, the clusters, because that's more fun to me than playing the missions, the story missions in the game.
And so I want to jump in off of what you're saying because I totally agree with you. I think that kind of as I've been playing it, I think one of the problems I'm having is either you're doing the side missions, which are just those series of challenges, basically. I mean, they're all those mini games, right?
Yeah.
And those mini games are fun. They kind of each basically are just asking you to use a different set of skills that the game has. But it feels like you're using all these tools individually. It feels really rare that there's a mission where you're forced to really bring all of the things you know together and use them all together, which is when the game really is at its best, is when you are running down the street and you super jump and you freeze something and then you pull out your shotgun or your blunderbuss, because I love using the blunderbuss. You hop down and you blow that thing up, and then you switch over to your super stomp and stomp on something. And like as you're jumping through all of those things, that's really when the game's at its most fun. But the mini games don't particularly perpetuate you using those skills. And then you have the story missions are actually the worst because they all feel like one-offs. None of them feel like they really are asking you to use any of the skills that you have in those side missions. Then almost all of them completely disregard your super skills. They're normally having you like fly something or drive something or use a mech suit, things that are completely non-related to what you're learning to do. They're using those core mechanics of like the superpowers and tying all those things together. So that's my problem. And it is fun. Like using those things, just in a vacuum is very fun. And I think it actually, like the first 10 hours, I was having a blast with it. And then kind of as I got past that point, I was like, wait, I kind of feel like I'm doing a lot of the same individual mini games.
I totally, it was really fun at first. Everything was so fun at first. The first night me and John played, we didn't want to it was like 3 a.m. We were having fun. And that's another thing about the game is it's definitely more fun when you're playing a co-op, I think, because I was thinking about all the other people online that I saw playing single player, and I was like, this can't be that fun for you if you're playing by yourself. Because what's so fun about this is laughing together at the shit in the game. Like your characters and some of the simulations and stuff. It was just hilarious. I feel like I would have laughed at that by myself, but I probably would have just laughed in like my head and it would have just been like a thing. But having like John on the other end of the mic made it more entertaining. But real quick, something really funny happened when I was playing with Dan this morning. Dan was sort of talking about how the game kind of takes a lot from other things that have already, other games.
Yeah, my opinion on it in a nutshell is this is just a smorgasbord of every popular video game trope just ladled together into one hot sauce.
That's true to a degree.
But they successfully accomplished that by seeking to do so.
Dude, but he called something so, it was, I wish I had like Truman Show cameras on.
Here's the moment. It was the very, very first mission, the prologue, but you're playing as some sort of pseudo SWAT team. None of the characters that your main one are, and there's just a moment where you get your backs planted against the door.
Oh, wait, before you say it,
yes.
while this is happening, he has his back up against the wall, ready to breach the room. But he stops playing the game to talk about how he thinks that there's all these tropes from all these other games in this one game. And he starts talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 about breaching rooms. And he goes, all these games, they start to do the same thing now with the breaching. You're going to breach the room and it's going to go slow motion. You have to kill the terrorists. And I start laughing and I'm like, dude, that's exactly what's about to happen. And literally, as he says that, not aware of what's about to happen at all, he breaches the room, and that's exactly what happens. Slow motion. I mean, it couldn't have been funnier. It was hilarious.
That's my experience with this game in a nutshell, is that I could call everything that was going to happen a mile ahead of the time, and they spread themselves so thin trying to be every other game. I don't think the Saints Row franchise understands who they are as a brand and what they want their games to be, in my humble gaming opinion. So everything I came upon in there was just, this is a weaker, watered down version of a game that did this better, and they're just throwing it together. Like, the story doesn't even make sense to me. I'm not like a big Saints Row fan. I played the first one and I played the third one, and they don't have anything to do with each other, of course. They actually
all work chronologically.
Do they?
Yep. It's a progressive story through one through four, and it's consistent. That's what I was going to say to Greg before. It's that, like, I think a big problem with Saints Row 4 is that if you haven't played any other games, all these characters are pre-established in other games.
But the characters don't matter in this game. The story doesn't even matter in this game.
Right, so who cares about it then?
Yeah, but then what's there to care about?
I don't, the
gameplay.
The gameplay wasn't exactly...
The gameplay got repetitive, you know what I mean?
Know. Yeah. I'm enjoying it, so that's where I guess I'm at a different...
I want to know what it is that gets you to that place.
Because I am completely aware of the fact that Saints Row itself, since Saints Row 3, has been completely self-aware. Mm-hmm. It's not trying to do anything new. It's trying to do exactly what you said that you dislike about it. Yeah. So the fact that it's taking all these tropes from different games and also taking popular social cues like using Aerosmith songs and using action tropes when they have to is because guys our age who are developing the game saying, like, this would be such a ripoff, let's throw it in. Like, they're not seeking out doing anything new. And what? Go ahead.
I also want to jump in and just say that, like, one of the things I really enjoyed about it is that Saints Row, it kind of feels like a toy box. Like, they give you a bunch of toys and you can just kind of build your own experiences again. And, like, the most fun that I have in playing those games is, like, I love having my character go from, and just in the time that I played it, wearing, like, an old steel shirt and, like, short shorts to then I play as a girl, by the way. So you can just to craft your visual image. But like the old steel shirt and short shorts to then wearing like a cardinal robe with a cowboy hat to then wearing like, samurai armor with a cowboy hat to then, wearing like a tank top and jeans and, using a blunderbuss instead of a shotgun. And it very much is just kind of like, here's all these things, craft it's just do what you want to do. Do you want to, travel super speed? And like a lot of the stuff that they do, like this traveling super speed, super jumps, being in spaceships, having easy floozy romances with characters. A lot of the stuff is stuff that we would prefer to do in games like Grand Theft Auto or Mass Effect, where we're like in Grand Theft Auto, we're like, oh my God, you're telling me I have to drive all the way across the city? Yes, I understand that this game's supposed to be based in some sort of reality, but this is boring. And, and like, obviously Grand Theft Auto can't change those things. That's something intrinsic within that series.
Right.
Mass Effect, you can't just automatically romance a character. You must build the relationship with a character. But Saints Row basically just says, we know that you don't like that stuff. And because this game is basically just so self-aware, we threw it all away and just gave you the best parts. It creates a shallow experience, but still a fun experience.
The perfect example of that is like you get to drive cars in Saints Row, and that's always been something you can do. But now you can run about 30 times faster than a car, but they still have cars. But they're like, hey, there's cars there if you really want to be stupid and fuck around, and you can still fully customize your car. I guess you're right.
Nobody's riding cars anymore at the point.
No way.
No, not at all.
20% into the game, you do not look at a car ever again.
No, unless the mission calls for it.
Because you're not in cars, you can just listen to the radio wherever you want. You can just listen to the radio however you want to. And that's a nice touch.
Great soundtrack in that game. I really like the music.
The radio's good.
What's the one station?
Mix? The Mix. Yeah, Mix is my favorite.
Riff Raff. I like the station Riff Raff. Mad Decent.
I like the mix. It has like the best like 90s, 80s mix songs. It's great.
So I think the favorite thing that I've done so far is I love doing collectible stuff anyway, but going to what's the name of the silly shop with the
Pretend.
Let's Pretend.
Let's Pretend. Oh my God, dude. I bought a Boba Fett costume. Like, they have costumes in that game designed for people who have flown around. Like, you can dress up as Goku, and you can dress up as like Boba Fett. And the first guy I tried to make was Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen, because
naturally,
like, it all makes sense when you're flying around the city naked. You know, so a lot of the customization stuff is great. My favorite costume I've made so far was actually, I took, you know, the panda suit with the cape. I just switched the head for a horse mask, and that was my thing. And I don't know.
This is a good game to figure out what kind of gamer you are, though, too. And I think it's very definitive in that way. I think the toy box analogy was very apt, because I feel the same way. And that's kind of something I don't like about games that I choose to play. I feel like it's a game that's trying so hard to please everybody that it doesn't please almost anyone. Maybe you're a casual gamer, maybe you're a hardcore good dude. They can both get into it, but it's something. It just felt thin around every angle.
Well, it depends what you're looking for when you buy a game.
Well, that's exactly it. I'm not looking like. I have to choose my games wisely. There's only so much time I can devote to these things, and this is the kind of game that like is so lackadaisical about each of its features. Like, they're all, you can do everything, but nothing that well. In my opinion about it.
Well, what they do is they keep it open-ended.
Right.
So if you consider that to be a category
it's open-ended to a degree. It like you can go. It reminds me a lot of Crackdown too. Crackdown.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Crackdown
because of the obvious reasons. I mean,
you just jumping over buildings, doing whatever the heck you want.
Right.
But I prefer. I think I preferred the combat in Crackdown to this game, and like the way that the missions were constructed. I still like I'll do all the missions with John. I go through it, and I just still don't know like what's happening or why these are the story missions. Like, because like the story is like, well, we have to destroy this software, so we're gonna do we're gonna fight a group of guys, you know, a horde. We do a quick horde mode for 3 groups of guys. That doesn't feel like a story mission to me. You know, I feel like we should be battling through like a factory or like through some sort of like computer infrastructure.
Well, we've only done like 4 story missions. All that other stuff is side stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think we've done more than 4.
I think it's close to that number at least. But it seemed like they do something a little special with the story missions sometimes to introduce something new. But
there was some cool stuff when we had to go get
the mech suits was cool.
No, that was cool. But also when we had to get that guy from the older games, Matty or Mike or whatever.
I remember him. Yep.
And we had to do that text adventure game.
Text adventure.
That's cool. I
awesome.
like that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that
but
was
once
really
again,
cool.
like, you know, those when they do those things, those are nice nods. But I like things in a game like that. Daredevil does something very much like that briefly, and I think that I like those things in like a one-off instance. But I don't like them. They use that trick a few times in that game, and it's a few times too many for me.
How Saints Row's story vibes with me is it's kind of like watching a syndicated cartoon. Like an episodic cartoon when you're a kid, and or any television show that is a sitcom, maybe, where it's not following anything chronological. It's very loosely following something chronological, but you're using your favorite characters from the Saints Row franchise to participate in these events that are driven by a very, very short story or necessity. For me, it's not like going from point A to point B. It's like you're going to involve yourself into a bunch of things until you get involved in the one big thing that ends the game. That's how I see Saints Row's story to be to me. You know, so if you notice when they're introducing characters in the beginning, like when you meet Shaundi and when you meet Kinsey and you meet all these people, they don't really give them much of a disposition. They're pretty much just saying, here are these characters that you've seen before if you've played the other games. So I guess if you're looking for a really strong narrative, from, you know, that has a prologue, a story, and an epilogue, then you're not going to find it with Saints Row. But for me, it's just about the laughter, Saints Row. I'm not trying to look for any kind of, you know, I'm not trying to find any long-winded story that's going to change my life.
Well, I guess that's the problem I run into, is that I have this precedent set up in my mind about what these types of games should be or something. If I had played Saints Row 4 when I was 13, it would have been the best game in the whole wide world forever. You know, but it's just something about what I want out of those experiences that it didn't really deliver for me. Right. That way.
I think it can deliver with you if you're in the mood for that kind of thing too. Yeah. I mean, I play everything. So when it comes to Saints Row, that's satisfying my open world craving until Grand Theft Auto comes out. You know, I'm not going to play Saints Row if I want an RPG experience, even though there's RPG elements. It doesn't do it well. It does it just so the carrot's in front of you and you're continuing to unlock things.
Yeah.
But I have to say the comedy, I'm enjoying the comedy thoroughly. I think it's enough. The comedy enough is to keep me going.
I guess at this point, I'm sort of just looking forward to getting more through the actual main story and seeing what the rest, because, my opinion right now is based on 45% of the game, in which we did spend most of the time.
It's mostly the cleanup that you do when you beat the game is what Gregg and I have been doing.
We were like fully leveled up. We have everything unlocked at like 25% of the game. And
right,
now we're kind of like...
So the way that the story is opening gates for us to unlock new abilities and things like that is gradual, but Gregg and I already have so many points that we can just buy we got a new ability.
Everything's fully upgraded and
your map has a ton of purple on it.
Yeah, it's all purple.
We've done all that stuff. But I think it offers enough in variety. But I mean, all right. I guess we're beating a dead horse at this point. I enjoyed Saints Row. I didn't like Saints Row 2 that much. I felt like it was lost at that point and then found its legs in 3. But anybody agree with me?
I didn't play 2.
I didn't play any of the Saint Rows.
I played.
I didn't play 2. I played 1 for a little bit, and then I played 3. And like 1 felt very much, this kind of been the underlying narrative to the Saints Row franchise, right? Is it started off very much like Grand Theft Auto, and it's since found its new way. And I think this year specifically with Grand Theft Auto 5 coming out, I think Volition looked at themselves and like, we need to make sure that this is the game that no one can compare to Grand Theft Auto. It needs to be definitively different. So let's just go balls out with what's crazy. And
it scored well. So I don't know. I'm happy.
It's good. It's good.
Definitely a good game. But I also, the only indie type game I played this week was Divekick.
The dive kick.
Ready? A dive kick.
Ready? A dive kick.
So Josh, you played Divekick as well. You got it on the Vita?
No, I've only played it on the PS3. I got it because it has cross-buy with the Vita. But to be honest, I haven't even had a chance to upload it yet. I just got to play a couple hours on my PS3 every night after trudging through XCOM.
Yeah. Have either of you guys seen? Dan, have you seen Divekick?
I've played Divekick.
Have you? Did you enjoy it?
Fuck yes, I did. Divekick was a lot
so
of fun.
good.
I have a very apt analogy to make about it when you guys want to get your little minds blown.
Oh, let's fucking do it now.
Let's do it
Yeah,
now.
let's do it now.
Have you guys played Bushido Blade?
Yeah, of course. We played together growing up, Dan.
Do you remember when we played Bushido Blade for 5 years together?
Yeah, Dan just set that up. He's like, have you ever played Bushido Blade? Dan and I... Well, okay, let's bring it back. Dan and I used to cut school and tell our... We used to tell our parents, we went home sick. We both went home sick to the nurse's office. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. We both go home sick, and we're at each other's respective houses. And then when you go home sick from school, that's it. It's just like, okay, you're going to be...
The day's over.
The day's over. You go home, you lay down, you watch Power Rangers, you do whatever you need to do, but you're not allowed to, go hang out.
No, you can't have fun. You just left school. So
what Dan and I used to do, I think we did it once or twice. The first time, it was for a little game called Parasite Eve. Mm-hmm. So I talk to my mom and Dan talks to his mom, because when friends hang out, their moms kind of have to, especially when you're not driving, their moms kind of know each other. Anyway, so I go, Mom, listen, because Dan and I talked to each other on the phone. We had landlines back then.
All the time.
We called Dan up.
Just a lot of gossip.
758-1538.
Oh God, I couldn't tell you yours back. Sorry, man.
I don't know. I don't even remember. Is that yours though?
That's pretty close, I think.
758-1583.
1536, I think.
Well, whatever.
It changed actually.
So anyway, I told my mom, Mom, Dan and I have a really important project to do that we forgot about. Can Dan come over? We have to work on this project. It's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Dan told his mom the same thing, and Dan came over, and we totally worked on our project, and everything was good.
Well, we got a lot of work done.
We played 8 hours of Parasite Eve.
That was the day I learned how to manipulate my mother.
Exactly. We learned how to
win.
Hook,
line, and sinker.
Yeah. So we did that with Parasite Eve.
I wasn't that happy about Parasite Eve.
Let's review Parasite Eve real quick, because the world needs to know.
What the problem was is I was hoping for another Resident Evil. I was in a Resident Evil zone, and it was different,
Yeah, no, it was somewhere between an RPG and a shooter and something else.
Yeah.
All right, Parasite Eve, enough.
Good
Dive
review.
Kick. I was in the middle of talking about how it relates to Bushido Blade. Bushido Blade was a beautiful, simple sword fighting simulator, as it were. But it was all based upon just momentary button presses. You had, if you missed a block, you were dead. If you were in the wrong stance and a guy came at you once, you were dead. And Dive Kick has the same sort of, it's all based on the right timing at the right place. And I like that sort of fighting game where it can all be over in just a moment if you don't move correctly, if you weren't paying close enough attention. And it's nice to see a new game that's popular that has the same mechanic.
If you've seen Evo footage and old footage of Street Fighter, any fighting game, like what's the best part of the fight?
The last, when everyone has one bar left, when
Exactly,
everyone has one pixel of life.
So what happens in Divekick is that's all you get is one hit. So every match that you play is nail biting like that, especially when you're getting down to the end. I think it's 5 wins. 5 wins is a win.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
But man, what a cool game. Going through development though, I mean, I have an issue with it. It's not a very big one, but the only issue I have is that when it was going through development in the beginning, it was almost like a parody game, right? And the guys knew that. And it had a few characters, but all there really was dive and kick. I mean, those are characters in the game, but move-wise, they're still only jump and kick. They say dive because jump kick sounds stupid as a game title.
I actually disagree.
You like jump kick?
That sounds cool as fuck. That sounds amazing.
Jump kick?
Jump kick.
That does sound good.
That sounds great. Dive kick, I thought was like, what?
But whenever I hear dive kick, I have to say it with like a Japanese, like dive kick.
That's what the announcer says.
It ends up with extra vowels. Dive kick.
It also makes it difficult to explain, right? Because people say dive kick, so you just dive forward. Why are you diving forward? And you're like, well, no, you're jumping, but they call it dive. And they're like, oh, that sounds dumb.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not going on a date with you. This is stupid.
The arcade system, I like the cabinets they have set up 2 giant buttons, just dive and kick.
Yeah.
Like giant orbs, like golden tea size.
Wait, is that for real?
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
The cabinets they have at their place, they have just big orbs.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
That's
really
awesome.
funny.
So cool.
Yeah. So, but what they did, I guess I'll get the problem that I have out of the way, is I really liked it when it was at its purest, when it was just jump and kick, dive and kick.
John's a purist.
Yeah. Well, with this game, at least. But eventually they started introducing, so when you pick your character, you choose one of the, I don't know, what is there, 8 character, 9 maybe, something like that.
I like what's the guy that shoots lightning?
I hate that dude. He's
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst character.
Him and the lady, the Chun-Li ripoff.
Oh, Kung Lao ripoff, you mean?
Isn't her name Kung Lao?
With the hat?
I think her name's Kung Lao.
Her name's like Kung Pao.
Oh, it is Kung
Yeah,
Pao.
exactly.
I thought
It's
was
a
like,
play off of Kung Lao.
Oh, there you go. That's the one you can see your panties.
Yeah.
You got to have your quintessential you can see your panties fighter. You know, it's a fighting game.
Yeah.
So each fighter now has very specific characteristics when they kick or when they dive. Like the guy that Dan was just talking about with the lightning guy, his kicks don't actually do anything. He leaves a streak behind him of lightning. That is the thing that KOs you. Also, some of the other characters, like this Kung Pao chick, she has a teleporter where she can teleport through and kind of fake you out. And then there's the last boss of the game, S-Kill, who does like this parry that he can do at any time if the timing is right. So the game started as like this pure parody on a fighting game and started to become somewhat of a fighting game.
Somewhere in development, like before it was actually released to anybody,
They had test demos at conferences and stuff where people were just playing as dive and kick, where it was just straight up. I don't even know if they had gems back then. So before a fight, you can also pick your gem,
bonus,
which either you can dive 10% faster, jump 10% higher, kick 10% faster. You can start with like there's also ultra moves that you get, passive ultra moves. So the game kind of got a little, even talking about it now, it's probably a little confusing to anybody who's never really gotten into the fighting genre, but it got a little more complex, not too complex to the point where we're playing Marvel vs. Capcom, but it got to the point where it got close to being a fighting game, which, I don't know. I thought it would have been cooler too.
You gotta think though, like in this new world where Twitch TV exists and this huge competitive fighting game circuit now, for the characters to all be the same, it's not going to give anybody an edge or give anybody like show that they have more skill than somebody else. You're
right, but I think that's where they changed their minds. They said, we're going to go from a parody fighting game to try to actually do something with this.
Right, sure. Yeah, the characters are all different now.
Right,
they all have their own little advantages, disadvantages.
I think it's a good thing, though. You know, I think that makes it so people can find their strengths, like what kind of character they're better at playing with.
I agree with you.
And the concept is still there. The one-hit concept stays, and which is the best part of the game, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, they walk a very fine line, right? Because I still think that this game, I think you may probably need like 2 or 3 matches to really wrap your head around what you're supposed to do. But I still feel like this is a game where I could sit anyone down, even someone who doesn't play video games. I could sit them down and say, hey, this is dive, this is kick, give it 2 matches, you'll figure out what you're doing now, and like, let's play. And then like in an hour, you can have 5 people in a room all screaming at each other, as you're playing this game. And I think that's what still has that purity about it, even as they've added in those mechanics.
It would be a very good party pass the controller game, I think.
Oh, it'd be so good.
And turn it into a drinking game or something.
That really shatters my Bushido Blade reference, because goddamn, can you not just sit down your grandma and tell her, come on, just give it a shot.
Grandma, change your stance to
Bushido Blade.
change to attack stance, Grandma.
Low stance, Granny. This is PS1.
PS1.
Pay attention.
X.
The characters though are a bit strange and like figuring out their nuances though. I found that was like, you got to just sit with a character for like a good 20 rounds to understand what the hell they're even about.
Well,
there's no explanation.
If you go through the menus, they have a text explanation of each character and what they do exactly.
I didn't get into the nitty-gritty.
But that's
some of
it.
them like based off of like people's own creations for the Kickstarter, and also other people who play in the game circuits.
I know they had a lot of influence from Kickstarter. I think a lot of their, when in Street Fighter, when they're about to fight each other, and it says in the bottom like, "You have met your match," ha 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 ha, like little things like that. I know Kickstarter had something to do with that.
They had they whoever pledged a certain amount got their bit of text published in the game.
Oh, okay.
They legitimately put in there. Cool. But the characters, I think there might have been one character, but I know like the lightning guy was like a throwaway from Street Fighter 3.
They're all based on something.
That was done. Yeah, they're all based on something.
I mean,
it's a very clever
Redacted,
game with
who
their
is my
references.
jam, is obviously based off that character from Killer Instinct.
Who?
I can't think of his name.
Saberwolf.
Yeah, Redacted.
It's the girl wolf.
Yes.
Yeah. But even like playing with that character, like for the first few matches, I was kind of like, I'd see all these other characters do these cool things, and I was like, oh, am I not pressing something right? How do I do cool stuff? All I can do is get her to get down on her knees and growl. What the fuck is this? And like, it takes a little while to wrap your head around that stuff and try to figure out what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, I just played Dive. So each character actually does have a story.
Wait, did you play Dive because he looks super cool and you love super cool looking characters?
Well, that, of course.
I was telling John about our characters in Saints Row. I was like, John's guy from the get-go is super cool, and mine was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I eventually...
Just a monster.
How did we not
That's
talk
why
about...
you gotta do
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Like,
I don't know how we skipped that. I remember we got to the White House after we created our characters, and they're standing next to each other, and John is like this super cool, like Japanese kind of like blonde hair, like built beautifully, like, and my guy is like Shrek mixed with like Miss Piggy, like
The penguin.
the scariest creature you've ever seen.
And Gregg was like, I can't understand the cutscenes because he pitched the voice of his character all the way down.
Why
is that an option?
All my cutscenes were like,
And then Gregg's like, I don't get the story.
The story doesn't make any sense, bro. At least this game was cool. I can't hear anything anybody says.
Oh my god. Oh, dude.
oh
Anyway.
man.
You, John, you've always had the coolest character. John wins the coolest avatars award for like lifetime avatar
Of
achievements.
course.
They've always been the illest.
He takes it so seriously.
Because it reflects me. It's I got some style. What am I gonna do?
Gregg's inner soul is just a fat
See, but
black
that's
woman.
the thing. That's why like a game like Saints Row is awesome because you like every video game has a cool looking white dude who's going to be the main character, yada yada yada. That's why like you gotta, when you have the opportunity to make a game, that is a challenge from the developer saying, hey, do what you want. It's like, all right, I want my fat grandma in this game. Like,
Listen, there's so many options when you go into character creation that when Gregg and I went into it, we're like, well, I guess we'll be playing in 2 hours.
Literally, we spent 45 minutes making a
Yeah,
character.
but what I think Gregg did, even though he said he spent 45 minutes, was I think he went down each category and pushed the sliders either all the way to the left
I did the same exact thing.
That's exactly what I did.
and all the way to the right. And when his character came out, I was just like, Craig was like, wait till you see this, dude. Wait till you see this. And I was
John, I think John told me multiple times, please change your character. It's scaring me and my girlfriend. We can't look at it.
I'm going to post a picture of it. I have to. I have it. Do we have it
No,
somewhere?
the picture you have is of me looking a little more normal, wearing the president outfit.
Yeah, a
of
little
Shrek.
more normal.
I Shrekized myself at some point. But I can get it back.
Yeah, you
I can
remember?
bring it back.
You remember the setting?
Yeah, all the way to the right. Everything.
There it is. Yeah, I just try to find the big boobies selection.
No,
How do I
up.
turn my tits up?
No, Dan turned his into like
Quadruple.
a shriveled up Ethiopian woman.
Yeah, I
who
went
looked
to
like an alien.
100-year-old black woman from the future.
It was very scary also.
And
Did you make a little narrative in your head about it? Like, she's coming to get payback.
Oh, yeah. No, she's the president. She was a starving Ethiopian child, made her way to the president, just made Barack Obama look like a fool. Black female emaciated president. Refused to even get the right caloric intake when she was the president. No. Stay true to my
She just
roots.
keeps turning down food. She's like, people in my home country are still starving. I just won't eat. I won't eat until they eat.
That's
Exactly.
beautiful. You're making a beautiful story right now.
Yeah, I like this Saints Row story. Do you like this, Greg?
That's beautiful. I
No,
like it.
that's what it was. And then I ran in the street and punched innocent pedestrians.
Yeah, and
That's the
then you had
moral.
sex with the robot.
Oh, you could have sex. I didn't get that far.
Oh, wait, dude. It's
Oh
the
yeah,
greatest.
you can bang it out with that robot.
I would fuck a
And I
robot
did.
now in front of both of you guys. It'd be fine.
It looks like Wheatley from Portal 2,
All right, let's just say that's amazing.
Yeah.
and you'd still fuck it.
Yeah. I wanted to have sex with Wheatley the robot the whole time. It's like, what
Also,
a...
like all
he's
of
so
those sex
funny.
scenes are pretty toned down, but the robot definitely has the most graphic sex scene.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't try all of them, Josh.
Oh, my character's a slut. She's just banging everything
Just
and
kept
everyone.
reloading every time there was a sex option. Let's see who I can't get over here.
Yeah, definitely reloading.
Oh.
Dive Kick.
Dive kick.
Right.
So Dive Kick
Divekick.
Dive Kick is $10 on Steam and well worth it. I played online for
That
a
is
bit.
a bargain.
Well, yeah, dude. For
What a
10
bargain.
For $10, it's a really good filler game between, like, say you're waiting for your buddies to play something else, or you have 10 minutes. You can play like 5 matches of Dive Kick, and it's very, very fun.
Refractory
Or
period
a-
after an orgasm.
Exactly. You want to reflect. You want to reflect on your life, not feel as
Or a
guilty.
great drunken night
refractory.
with friends. A
I'm
great
familiar
drunken
with
night
that.
with friends.
I said reflect upon.
That's good too.
Yeah, both. I just figured you still sit there with your pants down and just like go ahead. I bound. Actually, Dan, did you play on PC?
What's that?
Dive Kick.
Yes.
What did you bind your controls to?
Just A and D. And like,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
I bound them around. It just nothing really mattered.
I did left control and right control. I found that was the most.
Oh, like 2 hands.
Yeah, I found
That's
that was
good.
because it's like I figured that's the way that they play, so I had them like this.
That's kind of
Dive Kick.
cool.
Right.
Yeah. I like
So I
that
didn't have
idea.
your insider
I
knowledge
thought
about
you
the
would
big
have. I thought
golden
you would have went right
buttons.
to your controller with that.
No, I'll show you guys a video later. It's pretty cool. Pretty neat.
You can just plug in USB as well. USB like
controller?
gamepad.
Yeah. You can do that. But
They
I
actually, and they sell that gamepad, that like dive and kick gamepad.
do they? That's cool.
Oh yeah.
I plugged in my Steel Battalion controller. I needed 300 buttons to play Dive Kick.
The left
Why
joystick.
doesn't this work?
The left flight stick up and the right flight stick down.
What was that mech game a long time ago?
Steel Battalion.
That's the Steel Battalion.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still wish I got that game. I wish I convinced my mom somehow to spend the
It was like
$4,000.
It was like $200 actually.
Just way outlandish.
yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah. It was a bad game.
My
to
friend
boot,
Lewis
too,
had
right?
it, and he wouldn't even let me play it because he said it was we were young when he got it. He wouldn't even let me play it.
greasy. You can't play
He probably saw you did your Saints Row character. And he's like, you can't touch my
We
game.
were
no,
like
no way,
9.
dude.
We were like little kids. Didn't
He
even
saw.
know.
He saw what you were gonna do.
You
in
saw what
Saints
you
Row
did with
4.
your G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
Greg was like Sid from Toy Story. Was it Sid? That was his name?
That's right.
Yeah,
John,
sure.
high five reference, huh?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah,
Tremendous.
Thanks,
Tremendous. Thank you for the
Greg.
sound effect.
They couldn't reach, so
Dan and I
I
missed-
completed the high five.
Well, you know,
Okay, I also played Splinter Cell Blacklist, which nobody here played, right?
No.
negative.
Totally awesome stealth game in a wide pool full of stealth games this year.
I'll say Splinter Cell generally delivers. Generally a delivering game.
Generally, the last one was very good.
It's hit or miss, but they're
So it seems like what they did was they took what was the last Splinter Cell game? Conviction.
Yeah,
They
Conviction.
took Conviction and they took the old Splinter Cells and they melded them together. A lot of the text treatment is still there. It's a very good looking game. Right off the bat, though, I have it on 360. Right off the bat, you have to put in disc 2 to install an HD texture pack. It took about an hour.
Is that optional
Wow.
though?
Optional. I didn't try it without it.
I would have just done it with it
Jesus,
too.
that like
Yeah.
the install from disc 2 took an hour.
Probably close 45 minutes, maybe 45 to an hour.
God.
Yeah, it took a long time, man.
so
Whoa.
wait, installed on your internal hard drive of that
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
How much
because-
space did that take?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
that kind of sucks.
But like an hour? That's got to be quite a bit of
It was
hard
a long,
drive space.
It was a long time. Yeah, I'm imagining most of the game is on there because
My
okay,
goodness.
So I'll break it down for you because they do this thing where it's a seamless interaction. So what happens is you start up and your hub base is on this plane. After some story events, you realize that your home base is on this plane, and you're with your crew or whatever. You're Sam Fisher again with a different voice, which is really weird. It's not what's his name, Josh?
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside. I was like Steel, Copper,
Michael Steel Burns.
Steve Big Muscles, Metal Man.
Metal guy, the Iron Giant. So Ironside, it's not him anymore, and it's a little strange because it's following the story chronologically. So this takes place after the events of the last Splinter Cell. So for him to go from Michael Ironside to like, hey, what's up, Nathan Drake style, kind of, it's a little jarring, but if you can get past that. Anyway, so you make it to your plane, and once you get into the plane after the first prologue mission, around you are all these interfaces, gleaming bright lights, LED stuff, holograms. You have your gamer tag up there, and you have like all your stats up there, like as you're walking around. So on one thing you have against your friends, it shows all that stuff in real time, and on the right it shows your progress through missions, what your medals are, etc. And then it has like your multiplayer stats. It was a little weird to have the UI or the structure, the menu structure, be something that's right there that you're inside of. It's not something that it's unprecedented, but it was strange.
So you're walking around in this plane like in third person?
Right, yes.
Wait, this is just like the main menus, or is this all the time?
Main menu.
Okay.
So everything you're doing once you pass the prologue is from this menu. You have to go to this area to access multiplayer. You have to walk over to here to check your stats. You gotta.
You don't like this? Or?
No, it's weird at first. It's a little bit of a learning curve to understand where everything is. So, we'll get to the gameplay in a second, but there's also a multiplayer mode. If you've ever played Conviction, it has. Oh, it's not Conviction.
Is that the one where we were in Florida and we were playing? I think we were playing Splinter Cell multiplayer, and when you grab someone to kill them, you're allowed to talk to them through the microphone. And we were like
Spies vs. Mercs.
We'd grab them and we'd be like, "I love you so much," and then we'd kill them and drop them.
We totally did do that.
That was
a couple
so
times.
fun. Yeah.
So they brought back Spies vs. Mercs, which is something that's really cool, and I hope it catches on a little bit more because they made it a lot better than it was in the play. You there, Josh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I think people were your friends were coming on Skype.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a Skype aneurysm. So what it is that it's 4-on-4, I think, where one team is spies, so they're running around trying to hack these 3 terminals, and then you have a team of 4 on the other side who are the mercenaries who are trying to stop you, obviously. But they are playing in first person. So the spies are playing in third, the mercs are playing in first, and it creates some really different gameplay just to build a dynamic between the two where you have the disadvantage of not being able to see behind you, and the spies can linger in the shadows, and both sides upgrade quite a bit.
So you lose a lot of your peripheral vision when you're...
180 degrees of it. So, well... I guess,
but I feel like even as first person, you really can't see or even get the feeling that someone is even right here. It's
right. The spies definitely have an advantage at certain times. The spies also get guns, which is different than the old Spies vs. Mercs. Mm-hmm. But the guns don't do much because the mercs are heavily armored. But the gameplay, it's discouraging at first because you're trying to get a handle on it. But once you get on it, there's plenty of unlocks. There's plenty of really cool stuff to upgrade both sides. It seems like it would be more fun in team play. I played alone. So that's like pretty much a standalone game, right? Spies vs. Mercs, then they have team deathmatch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then I think the bread and butter of this game is definitely the co-op. I played co-op with a buddy, and for some reason, the guy who I played with, he's like, dude, he texted me the next day. He's like, yo, do me a favor, bro. Don't let anybody know that we played video games last night. I don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Why? What?
Girls don't like video games, bro.
Girls hate on games.
They just hate on them all day.
Is that really
Dude,
what
I swear to God.
Or?
I swear to God. No, he didn't say. He's just like, I don't want to let people know.
Who was he?
I'll tell you later. I'm not going to say it here.
He's a famous member of NAMBLA. And
I think now's the time to expose this fool.
I'll tell you later. I don't want to be a dick. But we had a really good time playing through. So there are the core single player missions that you play through. Very good story beats so far. The idea is that there's the Blacklist, who's this terrorist organization who is bombing bases across the United States and saying, putting out terrorist propaganda. People are watching videos, blah, 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 blah. saying that if you don't pull your troops out pull your troops from all foreign lands every 7 days, we're going to do a domestic terrorist attack. So that's pretty much the basis of the story. Sam's going around getting all the important folks, killing them, taking intel, blah, 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 blah. The co-op are separate side missions that you take as contracts from the people on the plane.
Oh, there isn't like a main storyline co-op?
No. You play that single player. And I really like the fact that they did that. Because
really?
I do. Because it allows you to detract from the storyline and enjoy co-op where you can fuck up. Like
okay.
The way when you play through a mission, you can either approach it as a ghost, which is don't kill and don't be seen. You can approach it as a panther, which is kill but don't be seen. And then you can approach it as assault, which is kill everything, balls out. So each mission grades you on how you do that, and you're rewarded appropriately, ghost giving the most. But sometimes when you're playing co-op, that can be disadvantageous as well as advantageous. So I think it's cool that you can separate those areas, play with different friends, rather than keep that on the same storyline. I don't know. For me, it feels good to partition those things.
But are the separate missions like worthy? Are they fleshed out to the point of being?
Yes.
Okay, because that's a huge part of it.
They're well put together. Most of them have cutscenes. So
that's kind of nice though, because now you don't have to like wait for your friends. You can get through the story, and when you want to do co-op,
So when you're waiting for your buddy to come on, it's not a big deal if you progress through the story a little bit.
Right? Yeah, no, it's good.
Definitely a major title thing though. You can't just be developing like fully fleshed out alternative missions for co-op, right? Like for your average game.
Oh no, that's something that like screams AAA development.
Exactly.
All this talking right now, my mouth is dry from talking about it. The point I'm driving home is that HD texture pack seems like it needed to be separately on a disc, because this game is so full of content and so full of so many different areas of game that they had to pack into these discs. That it makes a lot more sense to have to install the textures.
It seems like that. I don't think that's ever going to stop. Like whether it's Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1 that needed 17 discs because it's just so much content, or this stuff now, you'll always have developers going right to the edge of the capabilities of your
systems. They want you to
systems.
experience the game, because they could have easily said, fuck the HD textures, this is what they get because it's all they can fit. But they're like, fuck that, we want them to experience it at the fullest quality.
Well, it begs the question, where's the line of acceptable, and on the consumer end? I seem like this was okay for you. You were okay waiting an hour, but
I played Divekick for an hour.
But you don't have to. That's the thing, though. You have a
Everything
choice.
was all right.
You have a choice, right? You don't have to install the textures.
It asks you.
But
it prompts you.
You walk home, you got your game ready to go. You're not, if it says you're going to wait an hour, you're just going to wait there really mad at it.
Right. Well, being unaware and then having that roadblock ahead of you, sure, it's a little, frustrating if you want to just go and play it. But it does. I was curious. I opened it up and there's 2 discs, and one says high-res texture pack on the second disc, and I was like, maybe that should be on the first for when you put that in. But when you put in disc number 1, the first thing that pops up on the screen before even any title cards or anything, it's like, if you want to install an HD texture pack, please insert disc 2. It'll significantly increase the game's performance and visual.
I wish they would actually.
You can't say no to that.
I wish developers would release that for games that already exist for like a really cheap price, like a Skyrim high-res texture pack.
Well,
or
there's
like
modding, but that's only PC based, right?
Exactly, you can't get it on a console, because some of those mods are so beautiful. It'd be great if they can release something like that on consoles. I'd give up space on my hard drive for that.
And something like this screams end of generation, right? I mean, this is something that once we get the Xbox One, PS4, like that, because they don't know how to use that hardware yet, they don't know how to push it to the limits like that. Whereas once you get to the end of these console generations, that's when they start being like, well, now we got the textures on a different disc, and install 3 different discs to finally get your game.
Yeah, it seems to be the course it's going now, but definitely at the end of every console, We got that at PlayStation, right? All of a sudden, 3 discs.
Yeah,
I ran out of
3. There was like 4. Like Final Fantasy 9 was like 5 discs.
Oh my god, that's right. It just needed a whole other accessory for you to put it on your belt when you brought it home from Toys R Us.
So I'm thinking, I remember opening a PlayStation case, and you can already tell that it's heavier than usual. And you open it up, and there's 2 discs, and then there's that one floppy disc. Not floppy disk, but there's that one piece of plastic with 2 discs on that piece.
Oh yeah, and they would never, ever hold a disc.
And then there was some where you had to flip around the other side and it opened differently.
Oh yeah, that was a big Dreamcast did that a lot.
Yeah.
I loved when they'd literally like you just unfold it, literally like a belt, and it would just like all these discs would come flapping out. But like, and that was the great thing about playing those games is that like all of a sudden like disc 1 would end, you'd be like, oh, we're on disc 2 now. What's disc 2 gonna have? Disc 2, and then now we're on disc 3. Oh my god, we're halfway there.
Believe it or not, that happened more recently than we think, because there was a time where we had to switch from CD-ROMs to DVD-ROMs, like during the Half-Life 2 time.
Yes.
And I made the mistake of buying Half-Life 2 on CD-ROMs, and it had 6 discs to install.
That's impressive.
I had
right?
that also.
Wow.
I had that same thing.
Well,
I had
that's
all those
700
Half-Life
megabytes.
discs. Yeah.
It was insane. And I think they actually did it where they had like a spindle. They had like a spindle in the case, and all the discs were...
No, mine came in little white packages. Like
did
little
they?
white, yeah.
Maybe mine did that too.
I think I had an Unreal that had like 4 discs at one point on
I just
some
remember
Unreal.
I had PC games back in the days, like in the 90s, that were all like 8 discs.
Yeah.
Like I had this one game called The Space Bar, and that was like 8 discs, and Buried in Time was like 4 discs, or maybe even more than that.
Yeah, we come a long way. Pretty soon we'll be streaming all that shit. And now you can emulate those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? You download them in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So like with Baldur's Gate, you had to put in a disc to install it, and then each like 5 discs were different parts of the map.
Oh boy!
And now I download the game off
Gate.
GOG just instantly in there.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate maybe would have been the worst offender of too many discs syndrome.
Nothing beats AOL free discs.
Yeah, no, that's how I still get the internet. You guys have some other solution?
AOL 9.0, dude.
Yeah, man, that's where it's at.
Yeah. Those we like play frisbee with those for
we did, and we thought we were so awesome because
smashed them.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I'm on Earthlink now. I'm with the times.
So we went this whole podcast without talking about the most important events of the week, which was Gamescom from Cologne, Germany.
What are we doing?
Cologne, John.
Oh, sorry.
Cologne, Germany. Come on.
I'm not up on my
little bit of class.
My Deutschland.
Seriously, you sound like an ignorant idiot. It's Cologne.
Well, Greg's doing a perfect example of the people trying to, the American people overseas trying to
oh God,
absorb culture over there. Like, Guten Tag, hello.
Does anyone else think that's offensive when they come out?
It's
and
cringeworthy.
They have to do like that little German, like the 3 words they learned right before they came on stage.
Oh, that's cute. You guys have your own language and culture too.
Exactly.
Don't worry, guys. After our event, we have free pretzels and beer for you. Like you don't have enough of that.
Yeah, but that's like they're way more complex of a society than that. We're just like, okay, we brought pretzels and beer. We put it in a trough outside. Go ahead and eat because we know you stupid, smelly Germans love to do that. Xbox, Titanfall.
Yeah, no, I thought it was just like very like. It just felt so like silly. Why do you have to do that? Like come out. You're gonna do your whole thing in English anyway. Do the whole thing in English. You know, I don't think they needed to do the little German things here and there.
Well, we know both conferences, as well as probably a lot of stuff on the show floor, was extremely ignorant and not I don't even know, cringeworthy is the only word that comes to mind when I think of this.
I couldn't count. I lost count of the cringes by 20 minutes. It was just these things it's a chore to watch them. It's like really eating away at me.
Yo, before we get into Gamescom, let me give away some Microsoft points.
Oh,
we didn't do that.
Oh
yet.
my God, it's been so wow.
Yeah, we almost went the whole thing. I would have had to give away 2 bangers at the end.
Yeah, let's do one right now.
All right, so let's give away one. This time I don't want a drum roll. I want 1980s synth pop music roll.
What?
Go. All right. The winner this week, well, the first winner this week is, come on, now do it. Nathan Lawrence. Nathan, congratulations. You won 8 hundo Microsoft points from Another Way Around the AwayCast. If you don't contact us, we will try to contact you.
And then we'll give them away to somebody else.
And then I'll use them to buy Ninja Turtles next week. This week. But
So
that's
good
number 1.
So congratulations. Congratulations for winning fake invisible money that you're going to use to just waste your life playing a game.
That tuition you were going to do into the garbage.
Well, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it. I went to college already.
Yeah, you did.
Kudos. It shows.
No, thank you. I give things away to people. I'm so well off. I just give them away.
College taught me to be.
So congratulations, Nathan. There you go.
Nathan.
All right, Nathan. Woo!
All right.
So Gamescom Sony finally announced a release date for the PlayStation 4. Yay! November 15th. Mark your calendars. We're all getting PS4s, right, guys?
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Indeed.
So they showed quite a few things. Josh, what did they show?
Is this it where I'm taking over?
I am passing the torch.
All right. Yeah, it was a pretty cool conference. They announced a lot more titles. Specifically, they started out talking about the Vita, and they have 2 new titles. We didn't look up Murazaki's Baby, something like that. Musaki's Baby.
That looks really interesting.
Yeah, I really like the art style. And that's going to be a really cool game for Vita. And they have Big Fest. And I actually feel like, do you remember last week when you got the question, what game are you ashamed of how much time you've sunk into it?
Right.
Big Fest feels exactly like the type of game I could be embarrassed about how much time I sink into.
That was the last one.
And then after that, they went into announcing more stuff for the PS4, even more indie games. They have more indie games coming to the PS4. They also talked about Vita Remote Play has been confirmed. So it's basically the same way as the Wii U Remote Play, where if someone wants to watch TV while you're playing PlayStation 4, you can really just move the game to your Vita and just start playing on your Vita. That is compatible with most Vita games. So
yeah, they stress the term most because I'm sure they didn't want to get caught in like, oh, well, this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work.
Well, and I can't you can of course imagine stuff that's like super button heavy, because the Vita doesn't have 2 triggers, right? And so there's going to be certain third-party stuff, I imagine, where they're just going to go, no, we don't want to have to try and reimagine our game with touchscreen innovation for your Vita, which only like 1 million people have.
Right, but they do have rear touch.
Yeah, I mean, they have stuff that can work with it, but there's some sort of recoding. There would be an effort that would have to be put in there to try and get all that stuff to work, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then they announced Hellraisers. Oh, another game for the Vita is Everyone Is Gone to the Rapture, which is from the Chinese Room, who did Dear Esther, and they're doing Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs.
That's out later in September?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, a week and a half.
I'm excited for that.
And so they're very much kind of in the essence of Gone Home. It is, visual experiencing worlds, stuff like that. So yeah, there was a lot of games, which is surprising coming this late into the console race. Before the launch, how many games are being announced there at Gamescom? So yeah, it was good. And then we got November 15th. Check it.
Yeah, a couple of games had a presence too, didn't they? I mean, I think actually no, that was Ubisoft. I'm confusing Ubisoft and
there was some third person, like Assassin's Creed did do. They used Assassin's Creed to demo the remote play, which actually looked pretty impressive. They literally in the middle of the game, the guy who was playing on the controller stopped. They had some guy come over and take over using his Vita, making it appear seamless, but we know how scripted those things are.
Let's talk a little bit about the quality of that stream, huh?
And that janky camera stuff.
Oh my God, what's up with the jib?
Why do they do that? Why the fuck during these conferences do they even show the audience?
The issue is...
Yeah, that was the worst part. That was the part that really got me, is they'd be showing these especially games where that I hadn't seen before. I'm like, oh, I'm really interested. This looks really cool. And then they would do this outward shot, and I'm like, well, now I can't even read what the fuck is up there. Why are you doing this? It's so poorly produced.
They opened up with Killzone multiplayer footage, which I'm sure a lot of people were looking forward to. Okay, and everybody tuning in across the Americas and across Europe are watching this stream, and they're showing off the UI, the PlayStation UI, publicly for the first time, and the camera on the jib is moving across, and all we can see is the heads of everyone in attendance. And I think that's not Sony, obviously. Those are the people that they've hired, and they just have no idea, right?
But that's Sony, the conference. That's the media that did the conference.
I think Sony has something to do with that. They probably say we won't.
No, it probably has less to do than you think.
Well, the president apologized for it on his Twitter feed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because part of me watching that was thinking that maybe they think it's a good idea to show us that so many people are there, interested in this conference, and that's why they're doing this.
Right.
Which
would be, if that was the truth, really missing the mark.
Absolutely.
As well.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, we don't really care who's there. We just want to if you're going to show a video, we're tuning in to watch it. That's why we're watching.
We don't want to see the goddamn PlayStation,
after the video, if you want to have one of those cool flying shots to show us how big your convention is.
During the wrap-up.
That's great.
To me, it somehow has miraculously looked expensive and poorly done at the same time. They clearly spent money, but didn't have any idea how to use the shit that
that's
they
every
rented.
Conference.
Every single conference.
That's every conference.
Well, the thing, they have their, the guys that develop this media, they get their budget. It's like they know a year in advance what it's going to be, but if they don't go to the max of their budget and spend all the money they're supposed to, they don't get that much money next year, and they get paid less in general well. So they just got to rent the stupid crap. You got to go a little further. You got to go do extra things you just don't need to do in this sort of a production. They can't but help themselves because they'll get paid that much the next time around.
Right.
Yeah.
It just self-inclusive.
So that
you get this a lot in
that
production.
jib shot showing the whole stage 17 times while we're trying to watch gameplay is more for the investors and people being like, that's where my money's going to.
Yes, it pretty much just somebody's decision from 3 years ago. Just like, this is what it's going to cost, and nobody ever wants to go, you know what, we really don't need to use a jib for this.
Because look at the stage. Look, we put LED lights up the left-hand side of the stage.
Yeah, just brilliant.
I don't give a shit about that. Show me the game.
Yeah. Somehow
I
they've
think
lost
this is
their way.
also. I think this is a bit of like TV productions still trying to wrap their head around how to present these things.
Yes.
Because if you think about things like, think about what these people are aspiring to or what other work they might do, where, say it's like comparable to the Tony Awards, to the Grammys, to doing presidential debates or conventions. And they're like, oh, people love seeing the audience. We'll do another pan shot over the audience.
But
we got to
they've
have
lost-
something for camera B to do.
The modus operandi has just been totally lost. They don't know what the hell their purpose exactly is. They want it to be they want to have it to be a culture piece, like, look how cool this is. Also, we're advertising the games. Also, we're slick. Also, they just spread way too thin about what they're trying to accomplish.
How has nobody stepped up though at this point and been like, look, this is how we're going to this is the proper way to direct one of these things.
A lot of bureaucracy.
Because this has been, but you would think that after 5 or 6 years of it being popular and people really caring about these conferences, that they'd figure out like what we want or what is best for us, or maybe even exceed our expectations and do something different with the way that they showcase all of this content.
I'll tell you who tried something and fucking missed the mark worse. Microsoft at Gamescom this year.
They're always the worst. They're taking hold of the gimmicky. They're taking it from who's always the really gimmicky one at the conferences.
Well, Nintendo.
Yeah, mostly Nintendo, I guess. Right now, for me, Xbox is the worst to watch at a conference.
Right. No, I told it. Well,
Nelson went from being someone you could listen to and who had a good opinion to being kind of like a talking head.
Yeah, well, he's
very much
PR.
so.
He's not a main stage guy. Well, what they did at Gamescom this year was they, instead of having a stage presence, a main stage presence like Sony did, they did kind of like, this is the variety hour, the 1 hour variety hour of Microsoft Xbox One. Let's go check it out. And they hired some cute little blonde girl to run around and pretend like she was interested.
She was the fucking worst.
It's so easy to read like people that are disingenuous in this
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
It's like you'd have to be a fool to not see through that.
I want to see a squirrel.
She had the thick like Irish accent. I couldn't even I couldn't even.
Yeah.
It was just so like.
Oh,
Well, we encapsulated a bit. It was like this is a girl straight out of journalism school. Like she's a journalist major and like she can give a damn about games. Just like a camera's on me and I'm talking about something.
This is resume
good enough.
work.
I made
Right.
it. This is another step in the right direction.
Yeah,
But it's never like she's not there to care about the games. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
I really want to see a squirrel.
Yeah, show the
Let's get
squirrel.
the squirrels.
So, yeah, she was absolutely just a talking head, and it made it very awkward at times. And that's the thing about these conferences that have an air of condescension to them, is when you have girls like booth babes, since they've gotten rid of a lot of that stuff, but booth babes or girls at giant League of Legends tournaments, or I refereed a Gears of War tournament when I was younger in Florida. When I lived in Florida, we went to whatever, something. It wasn't MLG. It was
Was it
something.
the thing in Miami you guys went to? Was it
No,
that?
it was in Orlando. It was in Disney.
Oh.
So we did that, and going there, you see all the girls have this, or girls, or even people at the event that have nothing to do with games that are kind of above it. There's this air of condescension that kind of looms over the whole thing when there's even one person there that is not excited and involved, and it's kind of jarring, and it makes the whole thing, like Dan said, feel very disingenuous.
It makes it to like this fake thing, and it also ruins the community. When you get there and you see these people who don't care about it representing it,
Right.
It makes it feel like it's a joke.
Well,
Right.
it's at the end of the day, or rather at the beginning of the day for Microsoft, this is a marketing event.
Right.
So how heartfelt the presenters feel, it doesn't really like rank on priorities as far as what they're developing over there.
Right, but there has to be a point where they're...
Like we feel somehow insulted.
The average age of their demographic is 32 years old.
Right.
Or like 33 is the average demographic
They
of a
don't
gamer.
think, but I feel like they're not satisfied with that. That's probably what the issue is they probably are trying to get the Nintendo audience. They want to get the younger kids, And that's what they do. They really take it and they dumb it down for people who are 15 or 16 years old, you know?
Yeah, we're always just on the other end here scratching our heads like, what the hell do we just watch?
The thing is, we're going to buy this shit no matter what.
Yeah.
We're going to sit here and complain about it and talk about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we can see through the bullshit, and maybe they know that. Maybe like, well, they can see through the bullshit. They're going to buy the games no matter what.
Yeah, these guys are sold a long time ago.
Yeah,
we don't need to. We're not turning their minds.
Exactly. So let's dumb it down for the young kids so that they'll buy the games too, and we can lower our demographic to a younger audience.
There was a point in the Microsoft conference when they showed Battlefield 4, which looks phenomenal, by the way.
That's the one that has dogs, doesn't it?
No, that's called.
I'm kidding. Everything has dogs now.
Dog AI.
No, I'm really. That's my looking forward to game.
So I'm really
right now.
excited about it.
Yeah,
but
looks good.
They the main avenue for them to go down with broadcasting this thing was on Xbox Live on the dashboard, and they allow for interactive participation where you can vote on things. So they did this thing where it's like, okay, guys, Battlefield 4, what do you want us to announce? Exclusive announcement. You can do A vehicle, B, a gun, C, a game, whatever. And it's just, it felt so...
It's bullshit. I told you, John, you didn't think... You don't think...
No, dude, I'm totally with you. Don't say it like that. I know they put the poll up on the thing.
They put the poll up on the dashboard. It does not fucking matter what everybody picks on that poll.
Right.
When that guy got up there, that guy representing Battlefield, he was all ready to talk about the vehicle, and he was not. Right. He did not rehearse all four things. They didn't have the video footage for all four things. They were there to talk about the vehicle. So
good thing you pick vehicle. I had no idea about anything else. It's very fortunate.
Yeah, could you imagine that like pitch in the executive meeting? Like, so Joe, we want you to memorize these 4 scripts, and we're going to cut together 4 different videos. Now, we may not use all 4 of them, but we're going to at least use one.
No,
you get laughed out of the fucking room.
Vote meant nothing. And the same thing with the build your own game. They're like, all right, we're going to come back to you. You guys could decide whether it's going to be an ice theme, a desert theme, or a space theme. That guy was working on the ice theme the second the camera went away. He was developing the ice. They probably made it the day before, so it would be perfect for the event. Like,
lo and behold, television is fake, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, can you believe it?
Can you think of such a thing? That's crazy.
John, try that beer.
Which one?
The one in the cup right there. Is brewed.
I know Greg doesn't like this beer. I already know.
Is that Durka's beer?
It's Durka's beer. It's
all right, guys.
Brewed by Ryan Durka, a guy that I work with. He's a at-home brewer. He's getting much better at it as he goes. This is an older brew that he did that I saved for a long time.
Fermentation.
I like it.
So I told him I drank it a long time ago, but actually I saved this beer for about 5 months. It's been in my fridge.
For our 20th episode, you were ready to bring this out.
Not exactly.
Right, there you go.
But I thought that I would wait for an occasion because I had this and it was a nice gift from him. And I was going to save it. And then I talked to him about it a couple of days afterwards. And he said the longer it sits right now, the better it's going to taste. So I said, okay, I'm going to put this in. I didn't tell him. I'm going to tell him to listen to this tomorrow. I put it in my fridge and I'm drinking it now and it's good. But go ahead, Johnny, try some of it.
Well, okay, first ever AwayCast beer taste test. Go, take one. Dan, I ask you to hum a tune while I try this beer for 5 seconds.
Okay.
Okay,
how it goes.
All right. So it's a dark, thick, kind of milky-ish.
I thought I just tasted it.
I
don't know.
thought we're all talking about it. I've been drinking it for a little while now.
Okay,
So.
well, I'll have to say my first taste. It's definitely dark, Greg. I can see from the color.
Fuck you.
It's a little bitter.
Yeah.
There's a taste of bitters in there. A little bitter.
This is a beer for men?
Yeah.
Made by a man.
That's right.
So if you can't handle that, I understand.
Tastes like a man.
Tastes like a man. Do I ever know that flavor?
Now, what I was going to say was, this is an older brew
Josh
he
liked
did.
that one.
And
I did.
and he recently made a new batch that he let me try at work the other day, and it was absolutely incredible. I have the bottle in my fridge, and I'm going to save it for next week, so we'll taste it then. But it tastes like banana. It's like it smells like banana. It's because he put chocolate into the mix or something. He had a whole explanation behind it. But it is absolutely incredible.
I think there's chocolate in this too.
Yeah, I think so too. He said he's been experimenting with the cocoa in his batches, but
yeah, you can taste it.
But his newest batch that he did is amazing. Like, he should bottle it, and we're gonna drink it next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have pretzels and beer.
I very much like pretzels and beer because I'm a German.
You should probably get the Venus Schnitzel.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful idea.
So they definitely talked a lot about. Okay.
Wait, thank you, Ryan Durker, for the beer.
Thanks,
Jesus.
Ryan Durker.
Thanks, Ryan Durker. That's tremendous. It's very delicious.
So Sony announced their release date, and Microsoft announced that in their European markets that they're going to release FIFA 14 with all pre-orders.
I did not see that one coming.
Or pre-orders of. No, actually, I really didn't. I mean, obviously, if you were to pick a game in the European market, that would be the game. But being that the European market is saturated predominantly by Sony, I think this was a really good move on their part.
Oh, I see. Interesting. They're finally getting into the sports market.
I enjoyed how they marketed it as well. It was really entertaining.
Okay, so what Greg really means by that is completely awful. They had these football players on.
Football.
They have never
Yeah,
probably touched an Xbox in their lives.
They didn't. They even said we've never played this game before.
Yeah, those guys had their hands on the round like the butts of supermodels 5 minutes before they had to be talked to about stupid video games. Like, come on. They had no interest.
They got a check. They came in and they talked.
I wish I can get paid to talk about games that I'm in that I don't care about. That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, it was embarrassing at points, cringeworthy, kind of like I said before. Where, I mean, people wonder why, or gamers and people in the gaming community wonder why that gaming is not held to the same regard that film is, and to the same regard that writing is. It's because moments like this where they kind of enjoy throwing themselves out there to these other, I don't know, well, lack of a better word, these characters in other mediums, whether it be sports or somewhere else, and there's that kind of shunning, once again, condescension where they throw them into this situation where they're set up to make them think that gaming is in somewhat of a lesser medium than they are.
It's like they don't realize that these guys coming in are gonna like know everything, or they're gonna be really interested in this. Like, no matter what, these guys aren't actors, but they have to come in here and act like they like this shit, and it's not gonna work out for us. It's not gonna look good.
Well, there's no gap. Like, you can tell they're not briefed. So what they do is, you could tell, like, Major Nelson or whoever's interviewing them at the time, that one guy, I don't know his name. Yeah, so he goes up to them and he's like, so what do you guys think about, like, the new integration between Kinect, and then it's going to be bundled with, and already you have surpassed their knowledge of any kind of buzzword.
Just watch them going
video
dead-eyed.
games look good now. Video games look good now.
So using even words like that, like bundle, connect, and like, already you've lost them, and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? It's the equivalent of me talking to my dad about like being a dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's gone already.
Yeah, it's like Dad, what do you think about 3rd edition? Let's get real, okay?
Yeah. Like, what? That's pretty much like
when
Dad,
did you go gay, son?
Yeah. Exactly. So and then there's that air of condescension that comes along with it. So
yeah, it's just it's just that disingenuous marketing vibe. Like, it does feel very condescending. It's just like, it just feels like you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes, and you're also not giving it any effort.
And that's the reason the guy I played Splinter Cell with is like, yo, don't tell anybody I played a fun co-op game with you.
Right, yeah, because gaming carries this vibe with it still. It's too new. Like, gaming in earnest that we're all sitting here talking about, not even older than 20 years. 20 years is pushing it. 1990 is like, that's maybe when it started for real.
And just recently, it's more of a popular, like, media worthy thing. These conferences, even Comic-Con, like all this
the
stuff.
The whole world is turning around.
So popular.
You look at the cinematic and narrative tools that have developed just in the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the 90s, we saw nothing that was like, what BioShock can do.
Exactly.
We're starting to. Oh, go ahead, Josh. Finish what you had to say.
Yeah.
Well, and so and this is to elaborate even a little bit more on that, and not to get too off track. This is what happens with like how film constantly panders to, or how video games pander to film, right? They're like, like for instance with Call of Duty Ghosts, they're like, oh, we got Stephen Gaghan to write our game. He's a screenwriter, so he's really good. And I'm like, the fuck does Stephen Gaghan know about a video game? Like, just because Stephen Gaghan knows how to do a 2-hour movie, you throw an 8-hour campaign in front of him, he's gonna sit there and be like, well, fuck me, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't, and that's how you get this meandering stuff. Or like, David Cage is like, oh, we got, isn't it great that we got Beyond Two Souls at the Tribeca Film Festival? And I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck. Like,
it's called the Film Festival, if you aren't paying attention.
It's its own thing, and it needs to spawn its own type of writers, not movie writers. It has to have game writers. It's a unique thing.
We're so far from that still.
To Dan's point, just interactive media is still confused. People don't quite know how to take it, and the issue stems from the people who are broadcasting the the popular media from within the genre or the.
Well, they're dying to make it as marketable as film or television or whatever. They just have no idea that it's not that. So it's like they try. Well, let's just do the thing we like to do when we're advertising a film or a new TV show. Just have this panel discussion where everyone stands up here real awkward about this shit or whatever it is your method. But like they just it can't be. They're trying to get the tied-in audience of TV and film fans. Like, look, we're treating it kind of the same way. Don't you want to be on board with this?
I think without all that, there's this natural progression that's leading to all roads diverging at one point because, all right, a point that I have to make is that my dad's getting a treadmill delivered to the house, right? They're getting a new treadmill.
Okay.
And he was explaining to me this feature that the treadmill has where it has a screen on the front of it, like an LCD screen, where he can take a very proprietary flash drive to the treadmill, put it on the computer, load a route on Google Maps, and it will take that route. Say he wanted to go through Paris, France, right? It will take.
Oh my God!
It would take that route. It would take that route from Google Maps. It will take all of the images from Google Street View, map the topography of it. So when you take that flash drive out after you saved it, you put it into the treadmill. It gives you the topography. So. And as you're running through, you're seeing Paris, France on street maps.
It matches the incline.
It matches the elevation and inclines.
Jesus.
For where you're going. So we're hitting a point where
it's a game.
They were explaining this to me, and I'm going, put the Oculus on, and you're there.
Yeah.
What's the difference anymore? When we get, when Google remaps Street View in a few years, where it's a much better camera, and we have a less skewed perspective on those,
they figure out how to do this.
Right.
A terapixel camera.
There's going to be a point where everything is going to converge, and we're going to get into this really globalized. Obviously, there's still going to be different sections where, controller gaming is still going to be a thing, but it's going to get to a point where there's going to be this global idea of what interactive media is. At least some idea of it is going to be universal. And I'm kind of scared of it, to be honest with you. But at the same time, it's interesting that that's the way culture is going naturally. We don't need this shit thrown into our face. I don't think, at least, because, my dad's not talking to me about like fucking fish physics and dog. He's not watching these conferences,
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing to really learn in the conferences. Like you're already a fan. You already want it. You're just dying for any detail.
Right. The conference is for the announcements. Yeah. And then you watch the gameplay later.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. That's the strategy, guys.
So stop watching conferences.
Yeah, well,
I'm still gonna watch conferences.
Just listen to us.
I'm just gonna complain so hard that they eventually bend to my will.
Just know, guys out there
they
listening.
do that. I don't know if you
really?
noticed that the game.
They follow my Twitter.
Well, they listen to people. So if you look at Xbox,
I guess. You're right. Yeah, no, right.
So if you just complain enough, they'll change their entire business strategy, and they'll just.
In all fairness, though, if you announce like draconian evil policies, it turns out that people will get mad at you.
Well,
it also it's a whole nother conversation.
See, I've heard people go on the defensive about what Xbox is doing. I was like, what? How can you defend this as a consumer?
I'll defend it to a degree.
I can defend it a little bit.
We've had a couple of podcasts about this, but
a little bit.
Let's just fist fight about it.
There's still things that we don't agree with, but there are things that trouble me, at least. The fact that these companies are supposed to know better than we do about what's coming, and if we don't understand something or we can't grasp it or we think it's wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It might just mean that we don't get it.
I understand that, of course.
And in a console like that, where they're prepping for the future, and maybe it's not something that we want because we're so impatient and we want everything to be the way we want it right now. Maybe we lost out because now we're getting two PlayStation 4s. Well, the only difference between these consoles now is exclusive content.
Was there any difference?
And the Kinect.
Before,
and the Kinect being bundled.
Yeah, there was.
The Xbox Live is much better and more robust. I understand that, but
also the sharing the games system that people didn't like, I think was an awesome idea.
Listen, we're dealing with a Ben Affleck Batman situation right now.
Yeah, which shouldn't even be a fucking topic for anybody, for any conversation across the entire world.
For me, it still bothers me a little bit because I'm going to end up getting both these consoles, and they're pretty much.
I thought you were about to go. I thought Ben Affleck. See, I'll tell you about because Mr. Ben Affleck.
No, they're pretty much going to be. I'm going to have two of the same consoles that I'm going to just be getting different content for exclusives, and honestly, I don't want to talk about this too long, and nobody does. But one thing that, after really thinking about it, when people were complaining about the integration with your cable box into the Xbox, I think it's amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. because it's not. I could see people being upset because they're watching about it on a gaming conference, but at the same time, it's a technology. It's a changing in technology. This is a company that's focusing on making your life easier, not just gaming. And I know that bothers some people because they just wanted to see about the games, but they're trying to go beyond that with this console.
They're taking a big risk, and I'm not opposed to them taking a risk, whether they fail or not. The problem is that we maybe missed out on an opportunity to find something that was a risk that might have been groundbreaking to listen. When somebody fails in the game industry, whether it be Nintendo, whether it be Microsoft, whether it be Sony, that only betters the industry because they were going to learn from their mistakes and pick themselves back up. Right now, we're dealing with two consoles that are almost exactly alike in almost all ways, especially PlayStation announced the fact that they're going to have Twitch this weekend, last week. So that's another thing.
Where a video casting service?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So they're creating both. Like Greg said, it's going to come down to the exclusive. What I would have preferred to see, everyone calls me an Xbox fanboy or whatever you want to do. I try to be as unbiased as I can. But what I would have liked to have seen Microsoft follow through, be confident, and fail. And completely fail.
See, I don't think they would have completely failed. I think they would have failed for the first year or two, like the way PS3 did when they launched it. And
right.
they took it for what it's worth and they bettered themselves for it. But that would still put Xbox at a better position, because if they failed now and 2 years later they had it figured out, they had a good opportunity to be way ahead of PlayStation.
Right.
They're making a future-proof console that works with the cloud and shares games instead of having to rebuy them and resell them.
But what happens is they look at fiscal gains and what happens now, and nobody's happy on the internet, so we have to change everything. So you can look at it from both sides of the coin here, from either side of the coin, where they could have lost and we could all have won down the road, or we could win right now and not see where it goes.
But we're winning no matter what because we have PlayStation.
We're the consumer.
And Xbox is so
win
worried
every time.
Xbox is so concerned about that first year earnings, because it's also an image thing too. Because if they fail in that first year, they look bad for the long. And
they're basing everything off pre-orders right now. Like it's not.
Well, the pre-orders are pretty much sold out, and they probably still would have been if they kept the original system.
Do you guys think that this is the round where we'll see one of them take a bow out of console?
Nintendo. If it's anybody. But I had this argument with Greg, and I think they would keep their handheld market if they ever got out of
Nintendo has killed everybody for decades.
Yeah,
in the handheld market.
Well, no, I just mean they've think about when you said these consoles are the same. Well, how about Genesis and SNES? Like they were identical.
Right, but I think the IP is what kept Nintendo alive.
Exactly. And that's all they have right now. Nintendo is just holding on to these IPs. They do have killer handheld. Their handhelds are killer, but I really think that they're going to be done with consoles soon. And unfortunately, I've been saying this for so long. I really wish that they would just sell their IPs to new developers. They probably won't.
Mario on Sony?
No, they would
do
never.
it. I don't even know if I could play it. I don't know if I could do it.
Not Mario. It'll never in general. Happen. But
Zelda?
It'd be great to see a Zelda game done in a much different manner. We've seen it done so many times in their style, and it's always the same. It'd be great to see it in a different perspective.
I humbly disagree. I think they've revitalized that series so many times.
Exactly, but
it's still quite good.
I don't know how many times I could see them doing that over and over again.
So the argument here is, though, there's no place you can go other than Nintendo for that kind of Zelda game if you want that game. Mm-hmm. I love platformers. No platformer I play is quite like Mario, and the only place I can go for Mario is Nintendo. So they have a leg to stand on.
You got to buy a console for 5 games, 4 games.
Most people buy for 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, the N64 was very successful, but I think everybody knows that Super Mario 64 was far and beyond the best game in that entire console's life.
Yeah,
there's no competition. You got that game for
enough time.
Okay, well, there are other IP, but you got that game for free when you bought the console, and it never got better than that. The bar was set.
That's just because that's an experience that you've never had before. When you
that's true.
That's just something that you can't like. I still remember first playing that game and being like, I was with that same kid Lewis that I was talking about the mech controller before. Yeah. We were at his house because he had it before I did, and we literally looked at it and we had to take 10-minute turns playing because we sat there and just waited, watched the clock because we wanted to play. So and walk and explore a world in 3D. Like it was just like, what is this? This is amazing, I
remember watching. I had a VHS copy of like a half-hour little doc or something about like the N64 being made and like a commercial for Mario, and I like wore the tape out watching it so many times.
They used to send those tapes to your house via mail.
That's what it was. I got that in the snail mail. Like Nintendo is like, you have a subscription to Nintendo Power, so check out this sweet exclusive
on tape.
Pre-internet. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like an experience that you can't ever. It's just embedded in your mind as like the most amazing thing that ever happened to you when you're playing a game. Just because there's nothing. Your first 3D roaming open world sort of experience. There's nothing like that beforehand.
It's like irritating stick.
Exactly like irritating stick.
Yeah, that's a little gem for you listeners. You go figure out what that is.
Josh, you ever hear of the game Irritating Stick?
No, I have never heard of that.
Well,
I
good
guess you're
on
not
you
cool.
then. Good on you.
All right. Where were we?
I don't know. Josh, you still there?
I think we were on Battlefield 4
I mean,
a
like,
little bit, somewhere.
I was just, and we've talked about the Microsoft stuff, and I think I've made my feelings clear on that.
We'll
and
talk
Nintendo and all that.
If Dan wants to shoot shop about that stuff after, we can do it. But so next week we're looking at Summer of Arcade wraps up next week with the new Ninja Turtles game, which looks awesome. TMNT Out of the Shadows.
Finally, a good TMNT
Well, let's wait until we play it, but it looks good.
No, I'm going to say definitively 10 out of 10. Best game of all time.
I've seen trailers. I know what this is.
Yeah, I know my games, guys.
I watched. I read the Ninja Turtles comic again over the weekend, so 10 out of 10. This game coming out is going to be definitely a Ninja Turtles game.
I think looking
That
at
is
the top games
very
this
brave
year
to
is
say.
BioShock Infinite and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I can probably narratively they probably land on the same target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week too, Lost Planet 3. This game kind of came out of nowhere.
I didn't even know that was
I didn't know there
coming.
was 2, actually.
I know there was 2.
See,
But it smells bad. Lost Planet 3 smells bad.
Yeah, we'll see.
I didn't know they were.
Josh, do you have to review it?
No, thank God.
Okay. And then we also have Killer is Dead coming out, which is kind of like a Devil May Cry kind of beat 'em upper. Did you play the last Devil May Cry on Xbox?
Yes, I did. I have enjoyed every Devil May Cry.
You played the Xbox one?
Yes.
Oh, did you? Cool.
I don't own it, but a friend of mine had it, and I gave it a shot because I've liked them since the PS2 original. Just a damn fun action adventure, shoot things kind of game.
I enjoyed it. People were butthurt about Dante's new image, but I liked it.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Come
dude,
on!
People are butthurt about everything.
It's amazing.
Everything.
Yeah, no, you can't. Every decision you make, somebody will be butthurt about.
Nobody's happy anymore.
Ever.
No
like
one's
Louis
ever
C.K.
happy.
says, everything is awesome and nobody is happy. All right, so let's do our last giveaway here.
Ooh.
In this one, I want you guys to give me a drum roll in the form of Careless Whispers by George Michael.
There's no drums in.
Yeah, but you do the sax.
As a drum? Boom, boom, boom.
No,
Wait,
dude,
George
just-
Michael from Arrested Development? I'm lost.
Do the sax part. Ready, guys? Go, Josh, you too, go.
All right.
know this song.
All right, the winner for our last winner this week for 800 points is Barry Ricks.
Wait, was it Riggs or Ricks?
Ricks. I have
Ricks.
R-I-C-K-S here.
All
I
right.
was hoping to be an X. I was hoping it was R-I-X, but that's still
three
good.
X's.
It's still good.
Barry Ricks, 800 Microsoft courtesy of the AwayCast, AwayCast.com. Congratulations on having 2 first names.
Yeah, good for you, Barry.
We appreciate that.
Good for you, Barry.
I love him.
We
Seriously.
had one other email. I didn't write it down here, but it was asking something about Elder Scrolls Online. Oh, Elder Scrolls Online announced that they're doing a pay.
You have to pay.
You have
Yeah.
to pay $15 a month for Elder Scrolls Online.
I'm not playing Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, $15.
Yeah, is that it? Is that break you?
That's it. Because honestly, I have enough shit I have to pay for. It would
Sure.
that would have been a casual thing for me to play that game.
Sure.
If you're paying for that, I'm sure you're going to invest a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't have time for that.
You just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do like a free trial up to level something just to get the gameplay out of it. But
Yeah.
I
I'll
want
just
to
play
say one thing
Skyrim
right
again.
now. I want to say one thing right now. John Azalona, I guarantee you that you're going to buy that game and at least pay for like 2 months.
Do you think
Like
so?
I just the way that you buy games and consume them, I just feel like you're gonna buy this game and at least have the subscription for a few months.
Honestly, after hearing that game sounds great, but if I'm going to pay for a game, I'd rather pay for EverQuest. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, EQ Online actually looks
that sounded like
really
more fun.
cool.
When we were talking about that last week, that sounded like more fun. Like
EverQuest Next, actually. Is
yeah,
what
being
it's
able to
called.
build like your own place wherever you want. And
Listen,
like,
man,
you know,
we're entering the age now where we have these F2P things and these pay-as-you-go type things where paying for an online subscription has become a little archaic, I think, right?
I don't mind
$15
it.
is too much, man. I'm telling you right now. I pay $5 a month for Xbox Live so I can play games with my
it's a
friends.
little outlandish.
$15 is a bit much, you know.
That's more than Netflix. That's 2 Netflix accounts.
Yeah, maybe it was $5 a month or something. You know, $15.
It wouldn't bother me if I didn't have to buy a $60 game to then pay the subscription. That's where, like,
There you go.
I can go either way. If I pay $60, I don't want to pay a subscription. If I have a subscription, I don't want to pay $60 for the game.
They're taking advantage of us because the game looks pretty friggin' fun.
They should give you 4. If you have to pay $60 for the game, they should give you 4 free months when you get the game.
They should
off.
And obviously this is not anywhere equivalent to that, but you get 1 free month. I'm still gonna get it and I'm still gonna play it. Like, I'm gonna do that free month and then pay, like, you have to click cancel 14 times and call some number into that in order to actually like cancel. But I'm gonna do it. I am strong in mind.
I hope you have a bank account next month, man. Good luck.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I think at an age where we're shelling out all this money for new stuff anyway, I think the subscription model is just, maybe it's just me or you guys, just us. I just don't see people, like Dan said, it's 2 Netflix accounts.
Yeah, a little outlandish for the content you're getting out of that.
Do $5 a month. I mean, I understand that they have to pay for maintenance, and you're probably going to get what you pay for. It's like the difference between World of Warcraft and like the secret world.
Charge me the amount the game cost for a year subscription, like $60 a year, maybe.
Yeah,
You know?
or like
50, 60 a year is manageable.
pay $100 when you buy the game, you get a year.
Right.
Right? $40.
Honestly, you should get the game and be able to play for a year for free, and then after that, it's $60 again for the next year. And if you look at it from their perspective, you're paying for the game to play it for a year.
Yeah, and that'll cover.
And then you have to pay for the game again next year, and they're selling the game every year to you. You know, I feel like that's enough.
Speaking of money cashing, I played. I actually saw for the first time. I saw Disney Infinity in person. I got to play it for a few minutes, which was interesting. It kind of made me want to buy that, but the play sets are so expensive, like $15 plus the $75 to buy the initial starter set.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fucking. That's insane. That's insane.
That screams a child, just like, that's a totally different demographic and story.
like I would love.
Disney knows how to bleed them parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They're
It should be
amazing at that.
$50 to start this set and play the game, and $75 just to play the fucking game. What are they, crazy?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Disney bleeds middle American families dry, though. They just smell blood in the water and they just take them.
I also got to see an Xbox One in person, and I didn't get to hold a controller, but I did get to look at one through glass.
And you're never going to be the same again, are you?
And
Changed for good.
I've seen some things, man.
Is that the future? Did you look into it and see 2015?
I looked into the glass and I saw a much older, fatter, balder me.
Was the internet still angry in this future? Was the internet still upset at everything?
They're probably worse.
There was no internet. We were all plugged in and never talked to each other again.
We were the internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I have to say that the console itself is much smaller than I anticipated. That I would have thought. It
really?
it looks pretty compact.
nice.
How would you compare it to a PS2 size-wise?
Pretty close. Maybe an inch longer.
Wow, you looked at a PS2 recently?
Oh no, sorry, PS1. I'm thinking of PS2. It's probably about the size of a PS2 laying down.
That's what I thought you described. Yeah.
Looks
Awesome.
close.
That's
Yeah.
good. I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad, and the back is real pretty. Lots of HDMI imports out. It just looks. Oh man, it looks so nice. I was about to pull a Payday 2 and fucking start zip tying motherfuckers and grab that thing.
Do it, man.
Get the hell out of there.
You've played video games, so now that you've played Payday, you have to go rob a bank, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way it works.
You learned.
Yeah,
What Payday is doing is Payday is giving you the skills as a human being
To rob a
to go
bank.
and rob banks. They
Yeah.
teach you how to do it.
I feel ready already. I think we
Dude,
should go.
you're good to go.
Well,
Let's get it.
you guys-
Let's wrap this
four of us.
podcast up and go rob a bank.
Yo, Josh, meet us in Pennsylvania. We're gonna do a rob a bank.
Oh, this is the best road trip ever.
All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us again this week on Another Way Around the AwayCast. Dan, thanks for joining us for your first time. You
It
did
was
awesome,
a pleasure.
Dude. Awesome, dude. Greg, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, no problem.
Josh, thank you so much, dude.
Thank you.
No problem, man. All right, guys. So next week is our last week. We're giving last week of our Summer of Arcade. We're going to give away a year of Xbox Live as well as some other goodies. So, guys, thanks for being here. I'm John Azalona, and we will see you next week.
Hello.
Later.
Bye.